And our final report comes from Europe, where workplace trust is waning. Employers in Germany are taking extreme measures in hiring private detectives to spy on sick employees. Sick leave was, in fact, encouraged during the COVID-19 pandemic, and employees were paid in full for their time off. But now, absenteeism is soaring, with companies questioning whether workers are faking their sickness. While some say the system is being misused, employees in Germany are calling it a breach of privacy and trust. Here's more from Germany.
Workplace dynamics are changing globally. Trust and loyalty are the cornerstones of high productivity. Yet some employers are turning to extreme measures. In Germany, the corporate world is grappling with a controversial trend: hiring private detectives to investigate employees on sick leave. The reason? Sick leave abuse has surged, with economic consequences. According to C.O.W.S, German workers averaged 15.1 sick days in 2023, up from 11.1 in 2021. And post-pandemic policies seem to have played a role. During COVID-19, employees could obtain sick leave over the phone for mild symptoms. The system, initially a necessity, is now reportedly being misused. And workers fake symptoms like coughing to secure leave, raising concerns among employers. The result? Companies are seeking outside help. Private detective agencies near Frankfurt are booming. Their job? To verify if employees on long-term sick leave are genuinely unwell. But why are employers going to such lengths? Because in Germany, employees on sick leave receive full salaries for 6 weeks. After that, health insurers pay sickness benefits. But extended sick leave creates financial strain on employers. And for some, hiring a private investigator is seen as an investment.
There are just more and more companies that do not want to put up with it anymore. If someone has 30, 40, or sometimes up to 100 sick days in a year, then at some point they become economically unattractive for the employer.
Shocking findings by detectives revealed that employees supposedly unfit for work were caught helping family businesses or renovating homes, while others used sick days for vacations or personal projects. But success isn't guaranteed. Even when evidence is gathered, dismissals can backfire. For instance, one case in Italy saw a bus driver reinstated after being caught playing the piano during leave. The court ruled it therapeutic for his anxiety. Experts warn that spying won't solve the root issues. Rising sick leave often stems from genuine problems: post-pandemic mental health challenges, respiratory illnesses, and workplace stress. These factors need holistic solutions, not just surveillance. While the ethical dilemma remains, Germany's approach raises questions about fairness, privacy, and the limits of corporate control. So, what's next for German workplaces? Will the detectives win out, or will trust prevail? The answer remains as elusive as the workers under surveillance.
Somehow, somewhere, if there is a doomsday clock for workers, it is ticking faster. The World Economic Forum has released a report. It is called The Future of Jobs. It is released every year. This time, it is making headlines for its doomsday predictions. Because there's a lot going on right now. Several global trends are shifting work. You know the obvious ones, like artificial intelligence, but also geopolitical tensions and green transition. All these factors are reshaping work, and jobs are disappearing. This is what the report says. By 2030, 41% employers will downsize their workforce. 92 million jobs will be lost the world over. Who will replace them? Take a wild guess. It's not who, but what. Artificial intelligence. You see, the fastest declining roles are those that can be automated, like ticket clerks. Administrative assistants, cashiers, bank tellers, or data entry workers, in the next 5 years, their roles may disappear. Soon other jobs will follow. If in their place, AI will be put to work at a fraction of the cost. So should you be worried? Can your job survive the future? How do you know where you stand? Tonight we'll try to answer these questions. Now picture this. Let's say the world's workforce is made up of 100 people. Out of this, 41 people are secure in their jobs. This includes people who do physical labor, like janitors or construction workers, medical personnel, strategic decision makers, tech professionals, and green energy experts. Your big data specialists, fintech engineers, EV specialists, energy engineers. They don't need to worry a lot at this point. But out of the pool of 100, 59 workers need training urgently, because 29 can continue in their current roles only if trained, 19 will have to be redeployed to a different role, and 11 will have to leave their job. This scenario is not made up, it is based on data for the next 5 years. So this is the future of work until 2030. Where you fall in this pool can tell you a lot about where you stand. And if you don't like the result, if your chances are not too good, remember, all is not lost. There is a silver lining. In the next 5 years, jobs will be lost, yes, but this change will offset job growth as well. By 2030, 78 million jobs will be created. So whether you want to look for a new job, or switch careers, or stay where you are, do know this. Across industries, skill demands are evolving. On average, 39% skills will become outdated in the next 5 years. 39%. And this makes sense. The world is changing rapidly. We need new skills for the new world. So how do you gain them? By upskilling. In recent years, it has become a tech bro buzzword, but experts say it is also a force for good. Upskilling alone can help create jobs. According to the World Economic Forum, more than 5 million new jobs by 2030. It can boost global GDP by more than $6 trillion. And most of all, it can future-proof you. Upskilling creates effective workers. It tells you how to stay relevant, stay competitive, no matter which industry you belong to. Let's say you work in oil and gas. If you want to upskill, it is not a bad idea to learn more about electric vehicles or green energy. If you work in marketing, maybe spend more time on Instagram and TikTok, see how consumer trends are emerging. If you are an HR professional, learn how AI tools can make recruitment practices more efficient. So look at your current role, look at broad industry-wide trends, then look at the skill gaps that you need to fill, and chart your course. It is the future-forward approach. It is tailor-made for you, by you, so take it. Because the world is changing quickly, and it is going to be a roller coaster ride, so you may as well be in the driver's seat.
Deep in the heart.
What'd you say now?
I said deep in the heart.
I can't hear you.
Deep in the heart.
Where's that?
Of Texas.
Houston Mayor John Whitmire orders return to office for all city employees. Written by Allison Ackerman. This article is being read by an automated voice generated by Everlit. Houston Mayor John Whitmire announced Wednesday that the city has rescinded its work from home policy, and all city employees will be expected to work full-time from the office. In a memo sent to city department directors, the Houston mayor said the hybrid telework program will cease to exist and all employees will return to their office workstations unless a formally approved exception or accommodation exists. Houston employees will transition full-time to their assigned offices beginning Monday, February 1, 2025. We are all public servants, and each employee plays a vital role in ensuring our municipal government operates efficiently and prioritizes the needs of our constituents, Whitmire wrote in his memo. The best way to serve the public is to work together in the office, enhancing collaboration and making the city of Houston more effective as we tackle significant challenges. The policy change will impact approximately 1,600 of the city's 22,000 workers. Hybrid and work-from-home schedules were implemented during the COVID-19 pandemic. My administration looks forward to the return of all city employees to the office. In-person collaboration fosters teamwork, innovation, and accountability, allowing us to deliver on our promises, said Whitmire. We are committed to working together to eliminate waste, fraud, duplication, and corruption, and to align with my vision and priorities to serve Houstonians. The city's push to get workers back into the office is part of a growing national trend of both corporate and municipal offices ending their hybrid work schedules. Corporate giants like Amazon and AT&T announced at the end of 2024 that they would bring their employees back into the office 5 days a week this year. Other major employers, including JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, have also abandoned the hybrid policy adopted during the pandemic and have instituted a return-to-office mandate. As for other cities that have required employees to return to their work sites, Portland, Oregon will require full-time in-office return for city managers starting April 2025. The number of Americans who work from home has dropped by 3.2 million since 2021, according to the U.S. Census Bureau.
I've sometimes given the example of the so-called Marine Code. Some people have said they can spot an ex-Marine. Why? Is he an institution? He says, well, yeah. He will say that, some of them. I'm a Marine. Enough said. They say, well, what does that mean? It means I'm a Marine.
Military personnel who fire certain powerful weapons may put their brains at risk.
A piercing headache, like a pin, like a needle.
Symptoms can show up years after they leave the service.
I happened to be literally at the right place at the right time when my head exploded.
NPR's John Hamilton has the story of two Marines who spent years firing missiles and rockets, then developed the same rare brain condition.
Michael Lozano and William Wilcox have a lot in common.
I originally was a tow gunner.
I was a tow gunner from 97.
I served in 2 different units at Camp Lejeune.
I was part of 2nd Combat Engineer Battalion at Camp Lejeune.
I went to 29 Palms.
2 weeks out of the year, we did 29 Palms.
Each trained extensively with weapons like the TOW, a missile system small enough to mount on a Humvee and potent enough to disable a tank. Wilcox says the most intimidating weapon was a shoulder-fired rocket launcher called the SMA.
Imagine a 300-pound linebacker hitting you in the chest at full speed. Boom! It rattles your cage.
Also, your brain. Gunners like Wilcox and Lozano place their heads just inches from the explosion that propels a missile or rocket from its launch tube. The blast creates a pressure wave strong enough to kill anyone standing directly behind the weapon, and there's growing evidence that repeated exposure to these blast waves can damage the brain.
Hi, I'm John. Hi, I'm Cynthia.
Wilcox lives in Southern Virginia with his wife Cynthia and their dog Leia. His mementos from the military include a single-use launch tube about 3 feet long.
This is actually an AT-4. It's obviously inert.
Wilcox fired lots of anti-tank weapons after joining the Marines in 1992, especially during one training exercise at 29 Palms in the California desert.
Our Humvees are loaded with missiles, and we go out on this mobile assault course, and we're firing them like crazy. And, you know, as young men, it's like 4th of July on crack. We're just loving every minute of this, never thinking in the future that some of these things could potentially impact us.
The headaches began when Wilcox moved from Camp Lejeune to Quantico in Virginia. They kept getting worse even after he left the firing ranges to become a computer systems specialist.
I took Excedrin basically like candy. I used to drive home during lunch and pop some Excedrin, take a nap or whatever, you know, just to get the headaches to go away.
In 2000, Wilcox moved to the private sector. Despite the headaches, he thrived. Fast forward to 2014. Wilcox and some friends go to Penn State for homecoming. They're watching a band. Wilcox feels a headache coming on.
I go out of the bar. I sit down on a bench. I put my elbows on my knees like this, and I notice that I'm losing control of my arms.
His brain was bleeding. The cause? A tangle of abnormal blood vessels called an arteriovenous malformation, or AVM. The condition sends high-pressure blood from the arteries directly into fragile veins, which can leak or burst. Wilcox recalls an ambulance ride to a local hospital, then a helicopter ride to the medical center in Hershey. Emergency surgery removed the AVM and probably saved his life.
I spent about 3 weeks At Penn State Hershey, relearning how to walk, cognitive therapy.
Wilcox got better, but not enough to go back to his computer job. He has a big scar, several titanium screws in his skull, and memory lapses.
I don't know if I already mentioned this, sorry, I do have brain damage.
But Wilcox says his biggest challenge is epilepsy.
When I have, a cluster of seizures, it's brutal. It wears me out physically, emotionally. I take a tremendous amount of medicine.
For years, Wilcox did not connect his brain hemorrhage with his military service. Then a friend told him about another Marine gunner with an AVM. Michael Lozano and his wife Valerie run the Warhorse Ranch near Steamboat Springs, Colorado. It's a place for people who've experienced trauma.
We have 10 horses and a donkey, so we have to have the donkey.
Where's the donkey?
He's out here. He's probably right back here.
Lozano grew up in Ventura, California, skating, surfing, a happy childhood.
So when I turned 18, actually 17 and a half, I joined the Marine Corps.
That was in 1991. More than a decade later, after 9/11, he was sent to Iraq. Lozano shows me a video. His squad is rescuing a disabled tank on a bridge. Lozano is in a Humvee.
I'm looking back. I'm firing my M16. I look over to the side, and then this tank just lights one off right next to us. You could feel the blast. The Humvee shook, and then I go sideways, and I'm kind of out of it.
Lozano left the Marines in 2004. Then came the hard part.
I wasn't the same. America was different. I experienced PTSD, which I did not know I had until years later. And there was a lot of headaches.
Also anger and alcohol. Lozano's first marriage ended. He entered a law enforcement training program in Georgia where he met Valerie. The headaches continued, though, and Valerie Lozano noticed other signs.
He wasn't completing the files that we needed to for work. I started noticing him just becoming forgetful at home. It just got to the point where, in my brain, I was like, something is not right.
She got her husband to the Barrow Neurological Institute in Phoenix.
And they found an AVM on the front, the front, what is it? Oh my gosh. The frontal lobe, yes.
Surgeons removed the AVM, but couldn't fix Lozano's memory. There's compelling evidence that the pressure waves from powerful weapons can cause concussion-like symptoms in the people who fire them. Those symptoms include the sort of headaches and memory problems experienced by both Lozano and Wilcox. But could all those blasts also have contributed to their AVMs?
There's a couple theories about AVM. That's our horse. Yeah, that's Monty. You can either be born with it, or your brain can experience some type of trauma which damages the vessels.
Lozano leans toward trauma. Lozano's surgeon, Dr. Michael Lawton, has doubts.
My initial answer is it's probably not related. It's probably coincidence.
Because most AVMs are caused by genetic changes that affect the growth of blood vessels. But Lawton, the president of Barrow Neurological Institute, says recent studies suggest that blast waves can alter genes in the brain.
And it may be that the more we study this, we find that blast injury could be contributing to the same sorts of genetic abnormalities.
The evidence is stronger for blood vessel changes less extreme than an AVM. Dr. Iboya Chernak of Belmont University in Nashville has spent decades studying the health effects of blast waves.
We are gathering more and more information that indeed primary blast does cause vascular changes in the brain.
Chernak says even a single blast can leave blood vessels in need of repair.
But after repeated blast, these repeated repair mechanisms could malfunction.
In rats, this has led to malformed blood vessels that resemble AVMs. Much of the research on blast waves is supported by the military, which has taken steps to minimize blast exposure, especially in training. But that won't help veterans like Wilcox and Lozano. So they are learning to live with their disabilities. For Lozano, that often means assisting veterans in the corral at Warhorse Ranch.
When someone starts getting vulnerable, the horse will pick up on that, and he'll come over and just either put his head on your shoulder, stand right behind you, kind of helps you calm down.
Even if your brain is still recovering from blast waves. John Hamilton, NPR News.
An Eagles fan is banned from Lincoln Financial Field, and tonight we've learned he's also out of a job.
Well, we are on top of this developing story after that Eagles fan was caught on camera verbally harassing a couple of Packers fans at Sunday's playoff game. Investigative reporter Liz Crawford is here now with more. Liz, what do we know now?
Well, you know, it's not just a video of a fan acting inappropriately. The video, seen millions of times on social media, got a guy banned from the stadium and cost him his job. CBS News Philadelphia has been unable to reach the Eagles fan, and we don't know what may have led up to the behavior you're about to see. But here is part of the video the Packers fan posted on social media. Now, the Packers fan, Alex Bassara, says his fiancée was the target of the foul language. The tweet said in part, what it's like going to Philly just trying to root for your team. Online, he said he's a Green Bay fan who lives an hour outside Philly. And prior to the game, he even set up an online fundraiser to buy tickets to the game to, quote, send me into the belly of the beast. Sources tell us the Eagles fan has been banned from the link, and his former employer, a New Jersey consulting firm, tells us they fired him. I talked with the company co-founders just a little bit ago.
It was not indicative of his behavior at BCT Partners, nor with engaged with our work. So this was clearly an outlier to that. However, we also believe that we needed to uphold the values that we believe in as a company and had to make a decision.
Now, again, we have not been able to make contact with the Eagles fan. We've also tried to reach the Packers fans, but haven't heard back. Natasha?
Firefighters in Los Angeles continue to battle the devastating fires that have charred more than 37,000 acres and left at least 24 people dead. Fire crews are on high alert today as the Weather Service has issued a rare warning for strong dry winds and severely dry conditions through tomorrow. LA County Sheriff Robert Luna said today that despite progress attacking fires in some areas, people need to be vigilant.
I don't want people to start thinking everything's okay now. Everything's not okay yet. We'll get there. We'll get there together. But again, the wind's blowing and it's going to continue to blow.
The fires have destroyed the homes of thousands of people, but the blazes have also hurt many in the city's large immigrant workforce, people whose livelihoods depend on those homes that are now damaged or gone. Saul Gonzalez of member station KQED has this story.
On the edge of LA's Pacific Palisades neighborhood, where hundreds of properties have been destroyed or damaged in the fires, people gather daily at police checkpoints that bar entry. Most who come to the checkpoints are residents of the wealthy LA enclave, desperate to see the condition of their homes. But others are people who work in those homes, like Claribel Linares.
So what are you doing here, Claribel?
I just work around here. I just manage a big house on the hill.
Oh.
So I just came here to see if they let me in so I can check on the house because the owner are not here, so they are in Hawaii right now.
Linares is part of a large community of household workers in Pacific Palisades, and she now fears for all of their futures.
A lot of people are working here, then people that right now I think they are going to be out of job because of this disaster. People who cleans pool, gardeners, people who cleans, nannies, dog walkers, a lot of people.
According to a 2020 UCLA study, there are some 350,000 domestic workers in California, with more than a third of them in the greater LA area. Most are immigrant women of color, and many don't have legal status in the U.S.
They're extremely vulnerable.
Megan Ortiz is the director of ADEPSCA, a Los Angeles group that advocates for domestic workers. She says the destruction of so many LA homes in the fires is financially devastating to this workforce.
These are workers who don't get paid on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. These are workers who literally get paid day by day, and losing 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. How many days are we since the fire? They're really desperate and concerned about being able to feed their families.
The mostly male immigrant workforce who work as day laborers in the LA area are also feeling the job effects of the fires. That includes the men who gather every morning looking for employment outside of the Home Depot that's closest to the Eaton fire, which also destroyed several hundred homes. Jose, an immigrant from Mexico, doesn't want his last name used because he's without legal status. He says all the fires have affected day laborers in the area, and a lot of people are now without work. Victor, another day laborer outside the Home Depot, works with crews putting up home fencing and retaining walls. He says all those jobs have now vanished, and he can't send money back to his family in Mexico because there's no work. Looking ahead, some in the Los Angeles area already talk about a possible job boom since immigrants will be needed to clean up debris from torched properties and start rebuilding. But labor advocate Megan Ortiz worries such workers could be exploited and may not be provided with gear to protect them from potential toxins in the burned out homes.
We're also talking about workers who are scared to complain about bad workplace conditions, are willing to face health and safety hazards like breathing in ash while not being given the proper PPE because they need to eat.
Ortiz hopes that as LA eventually looks toward fire recovery, city, state, and federal officials will help support immigrant domestic workers and day laborers affected by the fires. For NPR News, I'm Saul Gonzalez in Los Angeles.
Of the army of firefighters trying to contain the blazes in the Los Angeles area, over 1,000 are incarcerated individuals hacking out fire lines with hand tools in rugged terrain. Despite the experience they gain from this work, they face an uphill battle getting hired as firefighters after their release. KQED's Catherine Monahan reports that lawmakers are considering changing regulations to make it easier.
Eddie Herrera Jr. served 18 years in state and county correctional facilities. After demonstrating good behavior, he was allowed to work as a firefighter.
I actually was in a residential structure fire and saving the home of a correctional officer of the prison I actually was housed at. And I just remember them coming and shaking our hands afterwards, and I was like, whoa, this is surreal.
Incarcerated firefighters make only a few dollars a day. But when asked if it was worth it?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I didn't even do it for the money because at the end of the day, giving back to the community and going out there and know you're providing a service to the community, like you can't put a price on that.
Herrera feels very fortunate to have gotten a job with CAL FIRE after his release. But a lot of incarcerated firefighters face a tough time. Royal Ramey runs a nonprofit called the Forestry and Fire Recruitment Program. He says it's especially difficult to get municipal firefighting jobs, like the one Herrera got trained in, but then those are the ones with the better benefits.
They require you to have an EMT, and obviously they have a background check and all that type of stuff, so it's really difficult to, probably get into that arena.
In 2020, Governor Gavin Newsom passed legislation to try to ease some of those barriers. AB 2147 allows nonviolent offenders who fought fires with prison crews to get their records cleared, which is critical because the state of California doesn't grant EMT licenses to felons, and yet to be a municipal firefighter, you need one.
They are eligible for expungement, but it's up to the judge's discretion. So it all depends on the situation, the crime, how long they've been out, have they been rehabilitated, what have they been doing since they've been home.
Newsom also granted early release to some incarcerated firefighters during COVID and has scaled back the program while building up the California Conservation Corps. Scott McLean with CAL FIRE says he's noticed the reduction.
There are fewer crews, but we've filled that void with our seasonal firefighters, hand crews, as well as the CCCs have been on board as well, bolstering up their ranks.
But with California wildfires getting bigger and more common with climate change, the need for firefighters is expected to grow. The Nature Conservancy estimates that the state will face a labor shortage of close to 10,000 forestry workers by 2028.
We could always use more because you want to have that consistent flow. People come and go. But we need to have that pool to draw from to fill in those spaces.
With that in mind, Esteban Nunez with the Anti-Recidivism Coalition is working on a new bill to cut back the red tape for incarcerated firefighters who are trying to enter the workforce.
We're actually going to run legislation to try to alleviate some of those barriers.
He's been communicating with California Senator Eloise Reyes and Attorney General Rob Bonta's office about making the record-clearing process more automatic.
So that the responsibility doesn't solely fall on the individual to have to file and either seek out a public defender or an attorney to help them file.
A judge would still have the final say. Nunez expects the new bill to be introduced within the next month. For the California Report, I'm Catherine Monahan.
Heard this happened, this was a good chance for me to come down and honor this man.
Today, law enforcement, bus drivers from across the state, and members of the public are honoring a Metro bus driver killed on the job. Shawn Yim was murdered in the early morning hours of December 18th. This morning, his co-workers and the public honored him in a procession through downtown Seattle ahead of his memorial service. King 5's Drew Andre is live in Seattle with more on the procession and the memorial service that is just getting underway. Drew, it was so touching to see this long line of buses through downtown Seattle and the number of people who didn't even know Shawn Yim coming here to pay their respects.
Well, Mimi, I think a good sense of that, too, is how long it took to actually get everyone inside WAMU Theater. They finally just started this memorial because it took so long to get these hundreds of people inside. So that shows the kind of support that is out here. And we've seen transit operators from all over this region. One example, Spokane Transit was here. So a lot of those buses did the big drive through the Cascades to be here today for this. This bus that you see here next to me is one of those buses that was in the procession. It says in memory of Shawn Yim, and it has his ID badge number there below. Let's show you now some video from the procession. It took off from Metro's base in SoDo. At the start of the procession was a Metro bus with the name Shawn Yim on the display on the front of the bus. Around 80 transit buses were in the procession, with county employees riding on the buses. It traveled through downtown up to Seattle Center before heading back to the stadiums. A majority of the procession was King County buses, but to name a few, we saw Pierce County Transit, TriMet, Everett Transit, Grays Harbor Transit, and even several buses from Canada. We spoke to one bus driver from Vancouver's Metro Transit who drove down this morning.
A brother has been murdered on the job, and no transit operator should have to worry about losing their life driving a bus. So we're here to remember him. We never knew him, but he's a colleague anyway.
And over the last few weeks, a lot of people have gotten to know Shawn Yim. He was a Metro bus driver for nearly a decade, and we've heard from some of his passengers and colleagues that said he would go out of his way to be kind and often had a big smile on his face. Yim's a local, too. He grew up in Tukwila and graduated from Foster High School. Now back out here live, we are just outside the theater where this service is going on right now with hundreds of people inside. There are union members that are currently speaking right now, and we'll have all of that coverage throughout the rest of the day here on King 5. Mimi.
Drew, I know the attention today, of course, is focused on honoring the life of Shawn Yim, but of course, the focus also has been on the suspect who was arrested several days after the murder on another Metro bus. What's the status of his case?
Well, the suspect, Richard Sitzlak, Mimi, appeared in court earlier this week. He pleaded not guilty to murder. He will be returning to court next month, early next month, but right now he is in custody like he has been since he was arrested on $5 million bail. And we've heard from lots of bus drivers who say that they plan on showing up to each and every one of these court hearings. Mimi.
Drew Andre reporting live in Seattle. Thank you, Drew. And let's give you a look inside right now, WAMU Theater, where that memorial service just got started. You're looking at some of the speakers who will be talking about Shawn Yim and so many of these transit workers, many of whom worked with Yim directly, but also transit workers, as Drew mentioned, from across the state who didn't even know him but feel like one of their own and wanted to honor Shawn Yim today. If you'd like to watch the service right now, we are streaming it live on the King 5 Plus app, which is free on your Fire TV, Roku, and Apple TV app.
Context of White Supremacy. Pause for Shawn Yim, why I am non-white male victim of white supremacy right here in Seattle. We have bus operators who listen to the cows. And killed by a white man, no less. Like, are you serious? killed by, and then they said this suspected race soldier, they said, where did they capture him at? Riding a different bus. Probably prepping, attack, pepper spray, kill another King County Metro operator. And these are King County Metro drivers. King as in Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I pointed that out. It's King County where Seattle is. They renamed it, called themselves. It was named for a racist white man originally whose last name was King, and they said we'll keep it King County, but we'll say, wink wink, it's for Dr. King. Whatever. they got Dr. King's face on all the buses because it's King County Metro. They've had reports in the Seattle Times newspaper here about the racist treatment of the bus operators. In fact, I meant to read some of that previously. I mean, neutralizing workplace racism, duh. But they had all these non-white, black victims of white supremacy operators talking about all the abuse that they get. Now, nobody talked about being stabbed, thankfully. But, man, they talked about all kinds of racism and, oh, my gosh, people get on the bus and nigger at this and nigger at that, drive the bus, nigger and take me to university, all this other stuff. And I was like, wow, I cannot, ooh. And then they didn't even get to COVID. I think this report came out, during the pandemic. They weren't talking about, people get on the bus and I don't know if they wash their hands. They don't give us personal protective equipment and we don't have hand sanitizer. They didn't say nothing about that. They said racism. I sure do wish these passengers would stop calling me a nigger, and that was under the rubric of safety, because that's violence, duh. But that has been a long-running problem around these parts, I suspect beyond, but King County Metro operators reporting unsafe, and I say that all the time, neutralizing workplace racism, unsafe work conditions. That's the whole plantation, so you have to be vigilant about that on your job. Any hoodles, today's date, neutralizing workplace racism, the worthless Negro, Gus T Renegade. Today's date, Friday, January 17, 2025. So I have been told. Our weekly summit on neutralizing workplace racism, not for spectators, not for spectators. If you are a non-white person victim of white supremacy, if you have figured out some strategies, some tips to help you keep a job, help you get a raise, help you get a promotion, minimize conflict with other non-white people on the job or white people, anything else constructive, that would be helpful to share. Some of your non-white cousins on the plantation could use a strategy or two. How do you deal with false accusations in the workplace? Very common. How do you deal with someone coming up and fondling your booty cheeks in the workplace? Very common. How do you deal with unsafe work conditions in the workplace? Super common. If you figured out 1-2 strategies to address some of those problems, let us know. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Certainly, if you have problems, they are abusing you on the job, that sort of thing, and if you have not figured out possible strategies, tips to neutralize that, you can let us know. Perhaps we can figure out some ways to help deal with all of that. And sometimes other people listening, white people, are doing the exact same abusive tricks and such to them. So sometimes that can be helpful as well. But let us know. We will do our best to use logic. help solve problems in the workplace if you are being terrorized. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. One thing, go through some of the clips, get folks who have commentary as well. I do want to go back the Shawn Yim report. I do want to go back to that really quick. Just, man, we talk about safety all the time. Talked about that for years. That's in Gavin DeBecker's book, The Gift of Fear, and just talking about safety in the workplace for certain jobs that are more dangerous than others. And I certainly think operating public transit, even a school bus, I think you got, Reb and vodka on the school bus, that might be a dangerous proposition too. So all of those type jobs, they should have unique safety protocols to themselves that should be repeated, drilled on a regular basis in terms of what to do, what not to do to keep yourself and others safe. Now, the situation with Shawn Yim, non-white male here in Seattle who was stabbed to death, on December 18, right here in Seattle, Washington. This is like right here close to the University of Washington. Like, I hang out there, all the time. Was just there yesterday. So they said this is on December 18. And this, no count race soldier, Richard Sitzlack, Sitzlack. Now I'll read. This is from King 5, NBC King 5 local news outlet. This is published on, updated on January 6. Same ilk, Mr. Sitzlack behaving like his white brothers in the Capitol. So it reads, the man accused of fatally stabbing a King County Metro bus driver in December pleaded not guilty during an arraignment hearing Monday. Richard Sitzlack, 53, allegedly stabbed Shawn Yim, 59, during an altercation near the University of Washington on December 18. Sitzlack was arrested a few days later. A King County judge previously found cause to hold Sitzlack in custody for investigation of second-degree murder with a deadly weapon and third-degree assault. Sitzlack remains in jail on $5 million bail. Officers were dispatched to an assault on December 18 that occurred at Northeast 41st Street and University. I was just there. The Wells Fargo Bank is at that intersection. You are one block from like the main entrance, the University of Washington, or one of the main entrances to the University of Washington. You have the freshman dorms, or like a block, like it, right? That is the Ave, affectionately known. And in fact, to even full context, so I mentioned this is like a super popular strip, University of Washington, 4 blocks north. So this is at 41st on 45th and University Way. The Target used to be right there, but they closed it. And this was the beginning of the 2023 school year, so about a year and a half ago. They closed it because they said it was unsafe. They had all the drug traffic and everything else, maybe even people pooing on the sidewalk out in front of the Target that was right there at the corner of 45th and 41st, and they closed it. And I said, dang, that's kind of, wow, I mean, that's right next to the university. Like, your parents come and say, hey, man, we can get you some supplies. Let's go get laundry detergent, get you some food, snacks. Let's go to Target. Whoa. Can't go to the Target. It's dangerous. Unsafe. We can't go to the Target. It's right next to the campus. Got to go to U Village. Someplace else. Can't mess around on the Ave. Like, what kind of bad look, as they say. Anyway. So this is on 41st, and if you come to Seattle and you go to the Ave, be careful. Open, and it was 3 a.m. See, you are asking for all kinds of trouble. 3 a.m. Any folks who were, and he was working, Mr. Yim, you work a job late night, oof, that's an added level of danger. And people are drinking on the app because there's lots of bars and such out there. Like, oh, man, asking for trouble out there. The officers found the victim, later identified as Yim, a King County Metro bus driver lying in an empty parking lot. According to probable cause document, he was pronounced dead at the scene. Oh, that is so disgusting. Investigators used surveillance video from a nearby bank and Yim's King County Metro bus to determine a suspect in the homicide, later identified as Sitzlak. According to the document, Yim and Sitzlak began arguing about a window on the bus before Yim asked Sitzlak to exit the bus. Surveillance video reportedly showed Sitzlak pepper spraying Yim in the face before exiting the bus. The document said Yim followed Sitzlak off the bus as he continued to be pepper sprayed and was eventually kicked. Video from multiple businesses reportedly showed Yim following Sitzlak a block over where Yim was ultimately stabbed 10 times. And I'll stop right there. And they go on to talk about more of the evidence and how they later detained the white suspected race soldier. Mr. Yim, non-white male, victim, killed. I mean, disgusting through and through. Probably got family and friends, died in some alley in a parking lot at 3 in the morning. Like, are you serious? Like, that is the most disgusting thing. Come on. But wow, I'm sure they have protocol, or I hope they do, for King County Metro drivers, anyone who operates public transportation. I hope they have protocol. So this race soldier pepper sprays him, probably calls him some names and all the rest of it, exits the bus. Distance. Gavin DeBecker talks about that. Distance. I'm caught in that. He's been pepper sprayed, so maybe he can't see or whatever, but as soon as I can kind of get my eyes and such together, calling the police. Close the door, lock the coach. In fact, the route might even be over. Call the police. I need all kinds of backup. Give a description. They'll have video and such from the bus, which you just heard, and go get this dude. Arrest him immediately, pressing full charges, all the charges that can be pressed. We want them pressed. That could have been one way to handle it. He chooses to chase him off the bus. Now, in my view, that can't be the training. I don't know if there were other passengers on the bus at 3 in the morning, but that can't be safe for them. Someone could have stolen the coach, right? You're off the bus. It's 3 in the morning. Hey, joyride on the bus, even just for giggles, right? You chasing this dude, and it's 3 in the morning. You have no idea, like, does he have a gang around the corner that he's going to meet up with? Is he armed? Does he have an AR-15, a 22? Who knows? A Magnum, a Glock, a ghost gun, a razor? Who knows? Do you have a weapon? Now, he's already pepper sprayed you, so if you catch him, what are you going to do? That cannot be. I cannot imagine any job, even with the police, where they assault you and the protocol is, hey, take them outside and work them over. Put that uppercut on them and jab, yeah, boom, boom. You put the Mike Tyson on, like, man, who you think, boy, I've been practicing my, AMA fighting and all that, boy, I beat you MMA fighting, I beat you, man, come on. I would not advise that for anybody. Even if you have been training, you've been doing your Brazilian jiu-jitsu and your MMA and all that, female or male, you tough, ready to go. I take down somebody, outweigh me by 100 pounds. Even then, in a work capacity? Nah, man. And we've even talked about this before. We remember it was a black female, and she got bonked upside the head. White woman came in and got upset with her. I think it was about, she was trying to spray. She was spraying Lysol because it was during the COVID thing. She was spraying Lysol trying to clean her office area and disinfect things. And a white woman came in and said, you nigger woman, stop spraying that. It's upsetting my perfume. Stop playing it. And she got upset about it, and she assaulted the black female. She bopped her. And the black female, I guess, got flustered or shocked about it, and she bopped her on the head with the Lysol can and ran out of the facility, and they charged the black female. They didn't charge the white woman. They said she was a victim. They charged the black female, said she retaliated. So we talked about that then. I think it was Bay Area Mom was with us, said, oh no, as soon as that white woman struck her, fall out on the floor, they'll have it on camera. You are the victim. You fire and arrest that white woman. There's no retaliation, no swing back in the workplace, because they're always going to get you for the retaliation. And that didn't even happen here. He just got killed. And then they said he was kicked because he pepper sprayed him. And Mr. Yim, he's following him off the bus, running up the Ave presumably. And he's kicking him, and then he stabs him 10 times. No. And this is one I would say for workplace, or even if he hadn't been at work, if Mr. Yim had just been like out on the street, let's say that had been the case, like God forbid, but let's say he had been just out on the street. Maybe let's say he was going to work. Let's say he was going to go to work, getting off, we'll put it that way. He had gotten off work. He stopped on the Ave to get a coffee, because they do have coffee, open kind of late, whatever. So he gets off work, he's going to get a coffee, and he's going to go home. And this rowdy dude is out there, shut up, get out of here. And he's, going to ignore him. And then the white man gets riled up, and you don't own the sidewalk, get out of here. And he pepper sprays him. Now, even from there, it would be self-defense. You do what you got to do. But if he's going one way, I would not advise chasing a stranger 3 a.m, dark sidewalk, dark out. What I say, unless you are ready to die. Fuller has talked about that. We've talked about that. Unless you're ready to die right now. I'm ready to kill right now. Could even be both. We both die right now. Next 5 seconds. No problem. I don't have nothing more important going on. Nothing I'm looking forward to. No attempted relatives who would miss me or anything. And even they would say, well, if he died out in the street, hey, that's what he's supposed to do. You come out here and disrespect me or pepper spray me at 3 a.m, I'm supposed to die on the spot to defend this. For some people, that might be your code. I don't think so. If you got to defend, yourself, if he pulled the knife from the beginning and you got to defend it, that's totally different. But it should be distance. Everything should be about distance. That's what you want. If he was at an office and this guy came in and was yelling and you messed up my order, what's wrong with you? And he's doing all that. Sir, please leave. Please leave. You're being hostile. I'm going to ask you to leave now. You're trespassing. This is private property. Please leave. And he leaves. You don't go chase him like you were rude and nasty, and you don't come in here and talk to us that way. No. Lock the door. Click. Call the police. Give him a description. For anybody, no chasing someone after they've got hostile, rude. I mean, he was assaulted. He'd already been pepper sprayed. No chasing. Unless you are ready to die. Unless you are ready to kill. We're going to have mortal kind. They do have, in Washington State, they do have mutual combat. If you're over 18, yes, you can just go and say, I don't like you. I don't like you either. We'll put your dukes up. You can legally do that in Washington State. But if you're working, I would not. Under no circumstance. In fact, he could have been fired for that, I suspect, because I know that cannot be King County policy. To hop off of our bus, it's not your vehicle. You're hopping out of our bus, maybe even leaving it running to go chase some hoodlum. Oh no. What if it's other hoodlums on? That could have even been their plan, right? I'll get the driver to hop off the bus and then you steal the bus. Even for giggles, right? To just say we can put it on TikTok and laugh about it. Safety first. Safety first in the workplace. That could take, a lot of different facets in terms of things to do or things not to do to maintain your safety in the workplace. I think number one, just realizing system of white supremacy racism is inherently unsafe, and that goes for the workplace, even though it should be a safe environment to make your money and get things done, but that's not the case. So be alert constantly. Health hazards, potential violence, potential threats, other individuals, asbestos, whatever it could be. Keep an eye out. Be vigilant for safety threats because they are so prevalent. And then having a code, especially if you work a dangerous job operating a bus, you should have a code. The company should have a code. You want to review it. And then if it's any, what they say, gaps in that code where, the way this is written, or if we follow, the strategies as they have outlined them, I might end up being in jeopardy in an unsafe situation. I may need to make some adjustments to keep myself safe. All of us should be doing that. Like I said, especially if you work in a dangerous job, that would even include something like a teacher, because, you know, they get assaulted and all the rest of it. So take that seriously. Any job that you work, you want to come home from the job, and presumably with all your fingers, toes, teeth intact. Condolences again to Shawn Yim. Have to see how that trial unfolds. I don't know why that's not first degree murder. I mean, he pepper sprayed him first and kicked him and stabbed him. Why is that not first degree? I don't understand. Anyway, we'll see how all that unfolds. Condolences to Mr. Yim's family, attempted friends, all that, and I hope Mr. Race Soldier, white man, hope he gets placed under the jail. Let's see some of the other reports that we heard. They started in Germany, and they said white people over there, they've had an increase. They feel like people have been abusing the sick leave policy, and so now they're going to hire private investigators to go out and see if you are really sick. Do you really have the whooping cough? Do you really have the measles? Do you really have COVID-29? We got to go out and check, be sure. Now, when they gave the numbers, they said it's been an increase in sick days over the last couple of years. They said, I think it got up to about 15 sick days per year. Now, even when I thought about it, I was like, that's a little over like 1 day a month. Like, is it that massive to have, on average, an employee taking 1 day per month? I was like, a lot of places, don't you get like 10? For a lot of places that I've seen, you could have 10 days off easily over you. You could have 10 days off, personal days, then you got vacation days and sick time and all the rest of it. So is it that? Now, I guess if they say they've taken the 15 sick, and then they got 15 vacation, and then they got 15 personnel, now if it's that sort of thing, well then, okay, I could see. But, and we are in a health pandemic. I mean, people could be sick, you know, after you eat all that bad food and get all that red dye number 3 in your system. You might have some health complications, like for reals. So, I don't know. But either way, they said it's having, you know, it's impacting profit margins, and we got to investigate. So we send out the private eye, and he goes to check to see, you know, where did you go out bowling? Now, you said you had the whooping cough, but you were out bowling, and we've seen you at the water park and all the rest of it. So I guess that's something I would be mindful of. I know that for something like, if there has been workers' compensation filed, like if you've been injured on a job or something, and we're talking about paying like thousands of dollars, I'm aware that for a long time that's been standard operating procedure, to hire someone to go investigate, see if you really have this injury. You know, are you out playing softball? Are you out dunking a basketball and saying that, you know, my knee is messed up, I can barely walk, like that sort of thing. But just to take like 3 days sick, and they got investigators, like, wow, that seems, I don't know, draconian, I might say. But I guess depending on how high the profile of your job is, maybe that's something to be aware of. If you take a sick day, they may actually be snooping. I guess with all the technology, they might get a drone with the camera affixed and go, you know, hang out where you live at, you know, see if is your vehicle there? Are you in the property? Are you on the premises? You know, you having company? Is there shindig going down at your residence? Like, that might be something to be mindful of in these new wacky times that we live in. Let's see, the next report about the future of work, and they talked about the rapid, I guess, erosion of what skills will be necessary. I wish they had provided more details with regards to now which skills exactly. So we talking like typing, Excel. I know they talked a lot about how coding, that computers will probably be able to knock that out pretty soon. So which skills exactly are we talking about are going to be less necessary as we move forward? Like, we'll just be able to offload that. More and more tech will be able to do that, just so that we can we'll be informed. That would be good to know, right? Now, public speaking, like what are we talking about? That won't be needed. Again, if you have children, I don't have offspring. I would be massively attentive to all of this. And really, it's almost mandatory. If you're a young person, hopefully in the schools and such, they are paying attention to all of this. That way, you can make better choices about your career, what you want to study. Like, wait a minute, I don't want to be all gung-ho about a career and the AI is going to take all of this over within the next, 2 years or something. And even if that field is something that you're interested in, figure out a way that whatever your interests are, it's not going to be obsolete, taken over by AI or some program in a matter of days. And I mean, that might be difficult, which again requires you have to pay attention to this. Whatever field, keeping up, what are the latest developments, technology, all of that. Even if you have children, you can talk to them. How are you seeing AI and all the computers and such? How are you seeing that encroaching in your workplace? Are you all having to be retrained and new programs and all of this? How is that impacting even your workplace? What do you think your job's going to look like over the next decade or so? You could be talking to your children about that. Should be. Let's see. Next up, they had the report in Houston. Mayor Whitmer making the mandate. Local Houston workers got to be in the office 5 days per week. Now, we heard that here, Seattle, Amazon specifically, that wasn't for like a mandate for the whole of Seattle. That was just Amazon, old Jeff Bezos, saying you all got to get back in here 5 days a week and we're done with all the hybrid work from home, all the rest of it. And they said that was probably going to spread, and you'll see other companies try to do the same, get more folks back in the office, and or even that could be a part of trimming the workforce. Get folks to go ahead and quit. White people in particular, been comfortable with their footies over the last 4 years, say, forget it, I'm going to stay at home. We'll have to see how that works, how much pushback. And even, I said that last week with Amazon because they said we're going to have to wait and see how this is enforced, if at all. That would be something I'd pay attention to as well, because, man, I've seen that where, I'm not even talking about necessarily work from home, just any and all policies. It could even be something as simple as, truancy, being on time, where the policy says, you got to be here on time, and, we'll give you maybe 3 minutes grace period, but if you're supposed to be here at 8 a.m., and you walk in at 8:04, you are late. And if you're late 3 times, in a month period, you could be fired. I've seen where some white people, and I think others have said this, they consistently will come in at 8:10. No problem. You come in at 8:05 3 times, you are out of here. So that's what I'm saying. So for the work from home, is this going to be enforced like for real? Everybody got to be in here 5 days a week. We go back just like, it was 2019 again. Or is this going to be something where we kind of all come in, but Peggy and, Joshua, a few white people here and there, well, because they said you got the exemptions. I went and talked to the doctor. My anxiety's still flaring up. I got the Asperger's syndrome and all the rest. I'm gonna need to stay home 3 days a week, sometimes 4. And they get the doctor to, hook the note up for them and everything. Well, I said, but even that, I would want to know, because if they got exceptions, that means you do make exceptions. So that means you can make exceptions for me too, if the circumstances are correct. I document all that too. Let's see. Then we had the Marines ain't gonna botch your brain computer. Now, they have talked about they have fallen short of recruitment numbers and saying, getting people to sign up and enlist. We got all these wars to fight and dark people all over the world that we got to go and smack around and stomp on and make them behave, and ISIS is getting wild again, but they're falling short of recruitment numbers. They talked about that. I've said, hey, if they come to your child's school or set up at the mall outside where they work, maybe even set up in front of your house, try to steal your child, get them to enlist, talk about Lavina Johnson. This is a career choice. There are lots of things like, there are things to consider. Might have you in some sort of experiment if you join the military. That would be something to consider. Man, you get me firing some weapon and break my brain computer. That is for sure something to consider. Matter of fact, they said, you got me firing something right next to my skull. They said the force generated from this weapon is so strong, if you stand behind it, it'll kill you when fired. What? Who even? Man. The engineer, that right there, that whole segment right there, what does it mean to be white? That's what we got to do. We got to make weapons like that. Go out and darn near kill yourself trying to go out and shoot and bomb all these dark people all over the world. Got to even get dark people to go and hold the weapons to do this because we are global minority white people. And then halfway killing the folks who are doing the firing. Get seizures and all this. Brain damage. Now look. Even just look at that, all the different varieties of ways you get brain damage in the system of white supremacy racism. Appalling, man. And for the Marines, no less. That would for sure be something to think about before enlisting as a young person. I mean, you kind of need your brain computer. Most people don't enlist for the duration of their life. So you can have a career, a life after you're no longer a soldier, presumably. You need your brain computer, yes. Eat a bowl of soup, remember your name, yes. Jeez. Let's see. We got the white fella at the playoff game in Philadelphia where he is assaulting and taunting a white woman, Green Bay Packers fan. And incidentally, this game was in Philadelphia, brotherly love, but it was involving Green Bay, Wisconsin fans. It reminded me that Lambeau Field, which is in Wisconsin, that is like a super duper racially restricted region, so-called sundown town. Just learned that recently. I think that was in We Were Once a Family. We learned about Devontae and them out there close to Wisconsin. But yes, that is a racially restricted. Yeah, because Devontae got the football. That's right. Yeah, he went out there and got a pack with it. Yeah, ain't no niggers out there. You go to Lambeau Field. Ain't no niggers. But the thing that shocked me was when I saw the photo of this incident, it looked like it could have been at Lambeau Field because there were no niggers in this part of the field. Now, I know it's a lot of black people in Philadelphia, but it did make me think like, wow, the playoff football tickets must be really expensive because it just looked like a big crowd of white people, unruly, drunken white people, yelling, shouting, calling her names. See, they redacted and all that. See, I don't like it. They say, now if he had been out there, coon, negra, spear chucker, put all that in. Put all that in. What he said is he was calling her, this white woman, said, you cunt, you no count cunt. That's why your team lost, because you're a cunt. Go back to Wisconsin, you cunt. He's doing all that, and the fan, they come find us. Well, don't you work for the diversity and inclusion and equity company? What you out here calling people a cunt for? That's not diversity. They say he got fired. Now, again, white people don't get fired. They get transferred. And I mean, hey, Philadelphia Eagles fan, they got a jail underneath the stadium. They come to be unruly, and I'll pluck Santa Claus upside the head if I'm feeling plucky today. That just, hey, we look out for our white brothers. Come on in, we got you. Come on in. You can be our chief Uhuru officer. How about that? Now, we'll give you a new title and a raise. We don't like no Wisconsin fan. She was a cunt, wasn't she? Go Eagles! Woo! Incidentally, I said that's white affirmative action too, like for reals. You couldn't find a better candidate to come and work at the diversity company? I'm sure they'll excuse his behavior and say he's a wonderful person. He loves black people. He read Rebecca Skloot's book. He's even gone to visit the area where the MOVE facility burned down. He sends a postcard to Mumia Abu-Jamal every other weekend. He's a great chap. He was just a little intoxicated and excited about Saquon Barkley. That's all. Let's see. I said online yesterday, I said Raphael Sadiq, victim of white supremacy, privileged black male. He should make a climate change edition of It Never Rains in Southern California. It would, I think, be his biggest hit. He could perform it at the Olympics in 2028, which is in L.A. Coachella, it would crack. I think they're going to have the Super Bowl in Los Angeles before 2028. Get Raphael Sadiq, come do It Never Rains, with images from the fire in the background. Oh, the climate change edition. Change the lyrics up a little bit, make it, representative of a boiling planet. Smash, it'd be his biggest song ever. Raphael Sadiq. Make that happen. They talked about LA workplace racism with regards to the wildfires, two different components, which I've seen lots, but at least two. The one, they were talking about entrepreneurs and landscapers and folks, nannies, all those folks who, came, even folks who just come and whatever else, work at schools up in these areas in California, Palisades, Eaton, working for some of these wealthy white people. Not that everybody who lived there was a wealthy white person, but, these non-white people who had those sort of jobs, and the house burned down, or even if the house didn't burn down, you can't access the area. They had National Guard, police officers, Mark Furman's cousins, out blocking off areas so you couldn't work, or it wasn't safe to work because they were still trying to put out the fires and such. People that were nannies and such, they were saying the same thing, like, oh, can't do any of that, go clean up the house, or can't clean up the house because it burned down, or the air quality issues and all of that. Not to even mention the people where maybe you didn't lose a house, maybe you didn't lose a job, but you work outside. Let's take someone like the Amazon workers in LA. I seriously doubt Jeff Bezos stopped delivering packages in the Los Angeles area just because the air is a little dirty. That's always the case. So if you're an Amazon delivery driver, or any of probably millions of non-white people who it's just another smoggy day in LA, you got to get outside and work and all that, like, whoa. Do you get a mask? And I remember my black brother in Los Angeles writes for spoiler-free reviews. Now, he said when I was down there, moved from Seattle, he said, man, I came down here, black brother, my asthma act up something terrible. He said, since the wildfires happened, he said, man, I wake up and my lungs are boiling. Boiling. Now that's just waking up. I can't even imagine if you are a postal carrier. Like I said, you work for Amazon. You in your little truck, you got to go and drop those packages off for 8 hours, or any of, it's tons of jobs. Food delivery, they're not doing DoorDash. And you got all these people staying in the house. Nobody cooks anymore, so they're not doing DoorDash. They're not doing Uber Eats in L.A. over the past week. All them dark drivers got to bring you your lasagna and such. I got to breathe all that in. They talked about that, and then they talked about, like, man, even just trying to get a job in this environment, Los Angeles, which, can be kind of difficult anyway, but man, in this environment in Los Angeles, and trying to get or maintain adequate employment. School would be included in that as well, because we normally talk about school in the workplace segment. They said 500,000 non-white children missed school this week. Now, come on. 500,000, and you know that's got to be a lot of non-white people. All of the educators who would be in that bunch as well, LA Unified School District, trying to teach or lesson plan or, whatever in the midst of all that. Like, come on. Do they have counselors, available for those if lost a house or watched all this on television and I'm stressed and blah, blah, blah? Do they have personal protective equipment, masks? We went through all that with COVID-19. Let's see. Oh, and then the convicts putting out the fire for 50 cents a day. You don't even have an adequate number of firefighters. This is the same thing we said last week, where they said, dang, we don't have enough factory workers. We need more trade workers. I know. We got Leroy locked up in the penitentiary, not doing nothing else. Leroy, we'll train you. You can do trades, and you'll make 30 cents an hour, or maybe 30 cents a day, or maybe 30 cents a week. They come and do the same thing with the firefighters. We need more firefighters. We got all these wildfires happening in California and more coming. So, man, we need lots of firefighters who can do the job well, as opposed to going to get Leroy from school and training them, because they say, hey, you are a municipal firefighter. They said that's a good job. You can get a good salary, benefits, all of that. Time off, paid vacation, all of that. Nah. We don't do the pipeline to get Leroy in from school, elementary school, middle school, all that. No. We wait till Leroy is a convict. Now, Leroy, come and say, you want better food? You want to stay in there and get rat-infested rice? Well, come out here and battle this blaze, and we'll give you 30 cents a week, Leroy. And then you probably won't even be able to get a job as a firefighter, even though you are super experienced. You won't be able to come and get a good job with all this, because we don't want no felonious Leroy on the fire department. Tacky through and through. And they bragged about saying that the fire program is voluntary for our inmates. We don't make nobody get out there and hold a fire hose, but the food is better. You do get some time outside. You do get that 30 cents. You stay in the prison, you don't even get 30 cents. See, they got lots of ways to manipulate you into making these choices that hey, who out there, do you want to go to LA to fight the fire? I didn't say to volunteer and to pass out masks, water, comfort, and hug a black person who's in there. No, to pick up a water hose and go battle those fires. Said it's like a blowtorch with the wind was blowing. You count me out of that. I don't want to do that. That sounds kind of dangerous. I have a dangerous enough time in 206, and LA was dangerous enough without the fire. So you count me out of that one. I got to go out there, and then got to do that. You got to be under the watch of an armed white man, right? Because they say you might run or do something wild or rape a white woman or whatever. Are you serious? Let's see. We got the fires. There's so much, this week, New Year. The fires. And then, Shawn Yim. I cannot emphasize enough safety in the workplace. I've talked about that before because they've had so many incidents in the workplace in terms of disgruntled employees, or if you serve customers and they get irate about something, start threatening staff, or at least using profanity and verbally abusive, that sort of thing. There should be trainings and like a protocol that is repeated so that everybody knows who works there, this is what we should do, this is what we should not do, if it's de-escalation at minimum, whatever, just to keep ourselves safe. And like I said, with that situation with Mr. Yim, I almost couldn't believe that. Like, what? He got off the vehicle or got out of the vehicle, the bus, to go and chase this race soldier down? Like, whoa. That cannot be, VGQ, if anybody out there, I know, like I said, we got people who drive public transportation who listen to the program. You can let us know, like, is that protocol? If you drive a school bus and, a parent or somebody gets on and they're upset and, Nigger, you should have been here and you're late and my son Johnny's going to miss his soccer practice, blah, 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 and they smack you upside the head, like, are you supposed to get off the bus and, like, chase them back to their house? And you don't smack me on the head and I don't care if Johnny misses soccer. Like, what? I wouldn't recommend that. In fact, that sounds like an even worse decision because you chase Johnny's parent, mom or dad, you get off that school bus and chase them back to their house. What I've said forever, okay, now they got their full arsenal of weapons, which does include the other white people in the house and in the neighborhood. Now we gonna really go to this uppity nigger done followed me to my house. Get the baseball bat and the chainsaw. You don't have an army, none of us, no non-white. Mr. Yim, he wasn't even classified as black, non-white though. You don't have an army, none of us. We had something similar. Remember, we had an Uber driver. He was sitting outside, and the white fella came up to him and said, "Hey, excuse me, colored fella, what are you doing here? Is there a problem? Can I help you?" And the black fella, he said, "Well, I'm just eating my lunch." He said, "Well, you scaring my wife. She thinks you're up to no good." Man. Don't you get uppity and who do you think you are? Let me get out of my car. You and your wife have got another thing coming, and it's a new time in here. And have you heard about? I told the black fella then, I said, you don't even know that white man might have been armed. He might have had a razor, been ready to stab you up good. You don't look at my wife. What do you think you're doing, you peeping Tom? It is dangerous out there. System of white supremacy racism. Your job, the number one goal, get home safely in one piece. All your fingers, toes, teeth. That is always a win. We'll deal with everything else later. Getting fired, the raise, didn't get the promotion, you got demoted. Deal with all that later. Get home alive and safely. That is always top priority. Condolences to Mr. Yim. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Do we have people who do public transportation, like currently listening? Anyone who does public transportation, anything like that, what is the protocol? If someone gets rowdy, abusive, potentially threatening you or other passengers, what is the protocol? What do they tell you to do? To get that person off the bus, or how are you supposed to de-escalate the situation? And then do they is there a circumstance where they say, like, yes, you can get off the coach to confront this person, you can bop them upside the head, or is that part of the protocol? Because I cannot imagine that, like, under any circumstance. I'm not saying Mr. Yim was wrong or blah, 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 whatever, but that cannot be the protocol to get off and, who do you think you're talking to? Or none of that, because like I said, you do not know. Wait a minute, like, you go to do that and he turns around with an AR-15, like, whoa, let me rethink this decision. But if we have any of those folks, let us know what the protocol procedure is. Public transport, do you drive a bus or anything like that? Let us know. Let us know. Incidentally, even though this is on a bus, this is the sort of thing you should think about if you do any sort of ride share and you got other folks in your vehicle. Same thing. I would think about that, like, oh man, yikes. What if the same type of thing happens? Yeep. Let's see. Folks who dialed in with a hand up, if you have commentary to share, line should be, I forgot. Make sure I get in. Okay. MLK holiday is Monday. His actual birthday was the 15th, 2 days ago, but the holiday is on Monday. You have to be on alert for like now to, I'd say probably like next Friday tacky, racist jokes, because they might have slipped them in already. Think, hey, we get to be lazy. Your cousin's birthday on Monday. You can stay at home, eat chitlins, celebrate fried chicken. All of that. No surprises. No, I can't believe you said that. None of that. Standard operating procedure. If anything, I already knew you all were going to pull something tacky. You can hit him cold. As soon as he gets into all that, chickens and fried chicken. Say that again, Herb. Chitterlings, fried chicken, cousin. What else did you say? Write it down and keep it, but you don't have to and jump up and down and I'm going to go home and you meet me outside and say it in my... None of that, because I knew you all were rating to be tacky and trifling and racist for Monday, and it'll continue into Negro History Month next month. So if anybody got any of those comments, we don't have to come on work on Monday. You got your colored holiday. Guess you all fought and argued to get your colored lazy day off. Be prepared. If you did get the day off, whoopee, make it constructive. Folks who dialed in with the hand up, line should be open. Proceed.
Can I be heard?
Non-Clemson dad, double O dimples, yes'm.
Yes, hope everyone had a wonderful weekend, at least the best of their ability. So a couple of things listening to the stories. Well, one quick catch up. The lights are back on in my office workplace. We're not turning them off. So I guess all that stuff has passed, at least for now. Now, getting back to all the stories I heard from the broadcast about getting replaced with AI. I have a friend who I've met here, one of the first people I befriended when I moved to South Carolina. And we are now best friends. He's 20 years my senior, but we're best friends. And one of the things he first taught me when we became friends is that if you ain't skilling up, you're de-skilling. And personally, I personally thought that was a very good lesson, which for that reason, I'm constantly trying to learn new things and how to do something new or different. For example, when one of the departments where I work was having an issue trying to sort an Excel spreadsheet that was an absolute mess, and probably had about 50,000 rows of data. They had about a month to try to figure out how to do that. They were never going to finish, and I took it upon myself to figure out whether or not there was a way to do that, and I was able to basically work for about, I think, 2.5 to 3 weeks to figure out how to organize it with the software that I had available to me. And I was able to. Now, I didn't teach anyone what I did or how I did it, but the point is I did learn a new skill for myself. I do think it's very useful to be able to learn new skills, because if you ever leave your job, you always use the new skills that you picked up to potentially get a new job. Let's see, work from home versus back to the office mandates. As of right now, I still have 1 day of work from home a week. Personally, I do my best to make sure I get all my work done in office, so that when I do have my work from home days, that there's very minimal work I need to worry about. That works for me. I'm not sure how that works for other people. But I will say this, even though all these different businesses, from the Apples to the local governments, are mandating their workers back to the workplace, they're not being very clear about why this is happening. And of course, this is very clear that it's a way to call or fire people from their positions if they choose not to return back to the workplace. But what they don't talk about is that a lot of these businesses get tax abatements for having their businesses in the downtown areas. And the reason they're giving these tax abatements is because, for example, by people being back in the workplace, they're able to patron the local businesses and bring activity to the downtown. When people are working from home and not coming into the office, that means there are less people to patron the businesses that are in those downtown areas. This is why, for example, some of these businesses might have a certain occupancy rate for how many workers they must have in the workplace, like maybe 50% or 70%, whatever that number might be for that particular business. And if those businesses don't hold to those occupancy rates, they can start losing some of their tax abatements. So something to keep in mind when you hear about some of these work from home, calling people back from the work from home, back into the office mandates. Let's see. I did hear about the stabbing of Shawn Yim in a Urbanist blog earlier this week. At least in my region, I am the transit liaison to the local transit provider here where I live. And as far as I know, because this has been brought up in meetings that I've gone to with the transit agency, whenever they have issues with anyone when it comes to riding public transit, the usual protocol is that you must call the police or you report it to dispatch so that they can call the police. So that, for example, because we have a spoken hub network, which means that all the buses pulse out from the downtown area. They go out and then they come back in every hour, which means that, for example, the bus operator is having an issue en route. The idea is that they report it to their dispatcher, and the moment they get back to the central terminal in downtown, the police will be waiting for that bus to deal with whatever person needs dealing with at that moment. Of course, though, I'm not sure how they deal with it if someone is being problematic en route, but I'm not here. I usually don't hear about those stories, at least where I am. Usually most of the issues that happen, not that I haven't seen some things on the bus, because I do ride the bus from time to time, so it's been a while. Most of the stuff, at least where I live, they usually happen in the downtown transit center. And as far as I know, the police are very quick to respond. And with that, I'll mute my line.
Much obliged, non-Clemson dad. Collins, that seems appropriate if there's an issue and you're operating the bus, passengers acting up or what have you, report to dispatch, call enforcement officials, let them deal with it. That seems appropriate. Not hopping off the bus to go put your dukes up, man. No, I would not. No. That he said he did hear about all the way on the other side of the continent. Big deal. Should be. I mean, that is pretty gruesome, right? Like, big deal. Let's see. Bravo on always learning skills. Now that I'm thinking about it, he has told us of lots of different points where he's gotten certified and learn new aspects, even when they sabotage his efforts and don't update his computer, still making an effort to learn, constantly learn new skills so that he's able to better do his job, just become a more valuable employee. Bravo. Said he figured out how to correct this massive, messy spreadsheet, but he did not share how he fixed the problem. Bravo. Bravo. I have heard discussion about some of the kerfuffle around people working from home, exactly what non-Clemson dad said. The occupancy rates and, hey, like not having all these folks sitting at home in their footies. Man, we got coffee shops and McDonald's and pizzerias and such in the downtown area that are suffering. Dry clean, y'all sitting at home in your footies. Even the dry cleaning businesses, are hurting. We don't even have all that daily foot traffic. Seattle. Ooh, I know that's not the only location, but I'm just talking about where I am. Like, wow. It is so. I wish I had taken pictures like 2019 to now. And they had said at the time they thought it would take a good 5 years or so to recover. And it's not like COVID is the only factor, because downtown is super unsafe. That was the case even before COVID, but wow, it is ghost town still. I think it has improved a little bit from like 2021, late 2020, but wow, like some of those shops and things have closed, didn't even open back up from downtown because it was so ghost town for so like years, really, all from COVID all the way through, of people working from home and not being downtown and all the rest of it. Just wow, it is striking. So I could see the motivation of those other white people saying, you are going to get back in here and get those people back in here. Houston, same thing. Lots of variables behind all of that. Again, we'll have to see how all of that is enforced. Are they going to make this happen and all the rest of it? We shall see. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up. If you have commentary to share, proceed.
Hello.
Our caller in Georgia. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Let's see. I think we've talked about AI before. AI is being used on my job, as we speak. So I guess it's supposed to help with some of the simple questions that the experts will ask us, but it seems to miss a lot when it comes to the technical aspects of the program. So they're continuously reach out to us. So the program seems to be based on the tax information, which is fine, but I don't know how that will work. Against certain occupations they talked about, and we even talked about that may not be, that may, I guess, escape AI. They talk about in-person jobs, fixing your cars, this, that, and the other. I assume air traffic controller, which we talk about a lot. You still need some people for that. But I did see, and I verified, I checked this again, they need people at the National Archives to read cursive. So that is a skill that is going away. So if you live in D.C., you need to read cursive. There you go. And I guess AI can't read that because people's handwritings are different. So there's an opportunity for a while. At my particular job, things went pretty okay, not as active as last week. But at the end of the week, because I did work last Saturday, and I was there with a lovely Black region, and we had, I think I talked about some scheduling issues, and so she was like, I'm just going to work the schedule hours if it happens available. I'm not going to, stay all night. I'm not trying to fight this. I'm boycotting, I have another job, and I need blah, 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 which is fine, and I'm, happy for her in that respect. So I said, oh, it seems like you're quiet working. I didn't want to say quiet quitting because she's not quitting. She's not a quitter, and I didn't want to, words are, I'll try to be careful what words I speak on or about people. So I said, oh, you're quiet working, no problem. And there was a manager there who's white, and so it was me, her, and the manager. And of course, this is all taking place in a Zoom room. We work virtually, no face-to-face. So he goes, oh, yeah. When he says quiet quitting, I said, oh. But he says, oh, I heard of malicious compliance. I thought, that's a very violent phrase. So I said to myself, I was like, oh, that's a lot. So I looked it up. So, it's compliance that may even be to the detriment of the company. So I didn't think she was doing all of that. It didn't seem malicious. They're doing a bad job. They did a bad job with the scheduling, and what can you do about that? Also, I'm a little concerned about the Black manager. Not a lot. I think he's going to do a good job, but he said he had a lot of female, I guess, employees that reported to him, and he's like, well, I can't say what I want to say. I'm thinking, well, what do you want to say? So hopefully he's, careful with his language as to not, offend anyone, because I'm sure his team is full of many different types of people, many different types of female people from different nationalities, colors, whatever. As most of the teams are. There's really a Black team, a white team, or anything like that. They seem to do a decent job of mixing up teams that way. But there was one manager, he would be identified as what they call Hispanic. And he was let go. Well, I don't know what happened. He doesn't work there anymore. And he was a type of person that may say something that others will find disagreeable. So I'm not surprised that happened, but, Oh, well, that happens. I think there was something else. And I was talking with, the white co-workers, and they were like, oh, well, we should do this to them. And then someone said, well, you could tase them. I said, tase them? That's a lot. So the violent terminology was a little off-putting and weird. It's not that serious at work. I'm not going to fight anybody. First of all, I'm virtual, so I don't know how I'm supposed to tase people if that was something I wanted to do, which I don't. And I'm not traveling across the country. I'm not calling you. Because the way my job is, I can find somebody's phone number, but I'm not calling anybody to find out where they live and where to tase you about a phone call or if you doing something I would think that's my opinion, that would be seen as weird or out of line. Now, I will address it properly through the proper channels, but violence that just seems ridiculous to me. And I know our job, when it comes to retaliation of someone doing something, even if the person is not an employee, if they're, I guess, a contractor or something like that, because I went over workplace harassment, they have a video. Retaliation is not allowed. So on my job, even virtual, retaliation is not allowed. So following someone to punish them for something they did to me, not allowed. Follow the proper steps, call the ethics hotline, or whatever. Dr. King, of course, one of my favorite holidays. Yes, he was a wonderful man, but yes, there's also time and a half. Keeping it literally a buck. Time and a half. And I take full advantage of that. And I encourage all my coworkers to do the same. Company has the resources to pay us. If we are able to work that day, work that day. That and President's Day. Those are the ones we get during the season. And I promote taking full advantage of those days. And usually people don't say anything about the holiday. And, well, actually, my manager sent out a note saying that it was, this day actually reflect on this time of service and peace. Some blah, blah, blah stuff. It was surprising. I've never seen that before, but, it wasn't bad. It was just, as we celebrate Dr. King, blah, blah, blah type stuff. And that's all I have for now. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Much obliged. Our caller in Georgia. I've been so caught up in the Jimmy Carter hoopla that I forgot, oh yeah, the great Dr. King is buried right there in ATL, King Center, and all that. I've been to the burial site. They have the casket on the water and all that. There might even be some people classified as black in Georgia say, oh my God, that is disgraceful, going to get that white man's money on Monday. You're supposed to be on. You should go to the King Center and pay your respects and all that money first. Gus T is not going to say that. Time and a half, get your money, and then we can go to the King Center at another time. Get the dollars and replace white supremacy with justice. The cursive writing. Now, I had not heard that there were jobs specifically in Washington, D.C. awaiting if you can read cursive handwriting. But I had heard that that is a problem. I guess the AI at this point can't do cursive writing, and increasingly fewer and fewer people can read cursive writing because they have not been teaching cursive writing in schools for, I don't know, seems like some decades now. So you have fewer and fewer people who are able to write cursive or read cursive. And they have other studies about how that impacts the brain computer. I guess your brain computer interprets it different when you type as opposed to if you print, as opposed to if you do cursive. But that is Another conversation. Anywho, jobs in Washington, D.C., if you can read cursive. They even talked about how that's really important if you want to do like research on your ancestors and read like a slave record. You might have to read some cursive. The archive records in Florida, that type of thing. Cursive. Let's see. She's malicious compliance. I had never heard that either. She just said, oh man, you're quiet, working, not quitting, keeping your head down, mouth closed, getting work done, right on, no problem. I do the same. And the white fella comes, oh, malicious compliance. Like, what? Whoa. Malicious? Who said? She just said she's being quiet. What? Malicious? Jeez. Everything got to be put some turn, some spin on it. That's dastardly, dark people, up to no good. Then she said the dude who is known as Hispanic, now I don't know if he's classified as white or not, that'd be curious too, where she said he would say things that are disagreeable to a number of people, and he got let go. We don't know if they're connected. Whoa. I don't know if this person's white or not. Ma'am, do you think this fella is white or not white?
He does have some melanin, but I believe that if it were up to him, he would check white on the census. And someone might just say, okay, he's a dark white person. I don't know. But like I would look at him and go, not black. I don't know if he looks, I don't know if they're real, I don't, like I said, I think he would say white. If he has his choice, he will pick white. The white people will go, no, you're not white. And the black people will go, you're not black.
Okay. We see one confusion, the racial classification confusion. Mr. Fuller talked about that. White people do the classifying. Again, racist man, racist woman, people classified as white, they do the classifying. Not myself or anyone here, because I don't think we have any white people. I don't think. But it sounds like this would be someone who is non-white, non-black, perhaps. Don't know. She said he seems like he has a teaspoon of melanin, although he might want to check the white box. Hey, I would like to check the white box, but hey. But she said he would say disagreeable things. Maybe you can get away with that more if you are classified as white, no ambiguity. But my suggestion, what she said, not malicious compliance, quietly working. That's also why I said no statements. Because see, it's more, I suspect this fella, whatever he's saying that's so-called disagreeable, I suspect he is not asking questions. It's difficult to get that sort of label when you're just asking a question. Now, I would say the question should pertain to work, too. It shouldn't be, who did you vote for? What's the difference between a coon and a black person? It shouldn't be those type of questions, work-related questions, but generally, it's difficult to get that type of a label. Say, man, he's just out here talking about disagreeable things all the time. Not just when I thought he just asked, where's the bathroom? Where's the fire exit? Do we get Martin Luther King holiday? I'm just asking a question. I'm just trying to get information, help do my job and get a better understanding of what's happening on the planet. Just asking questions. You just want to stay in the question lane. Not once you start making statements, that's when you can drift it. Oh, here we go again. She said she was concerned about the black supervisor. And she said he has a lot of female subordinates, people that report to him. She said he said, man, I feel like I'm not able to say what I want to say. But I had the same like I probably would have had to ask if I had rapport, like, what is it that you want to say? And then we can go from there, because I don't know, depending on what it is that he wants to say, it might be something that he should say. It might be a case like we had the black male. He was a supervisor down in Florida, may still be, hopefully. And he wanted to let these white chicks know that they were messing up. They needed to improve and, stop making these errors. But he didn't want to say that because he felt like he'd get in trouble. Privileged black male. And even the white woman said, man, crack the whip, man. Get on these white heifers. Speak up, man. You the supervisor. She had to, tell him that. So I don't know. It could be that. It could, I think OJ didn't do it. No, black brother, you don't. Yeah, you don't need to. Just keep to the job. Stick to the job. Keep that to yourself, and we'll talk about Brother OJ away from the job, maybe one day. Just what I said. Wow, the curiosity would have got the better of me, and even just to make an assessment, because I would have just been like, whoa, what is it exactly that you want to say? I hope this isn't R. Kelly related, or I don't. That's what I said. The curiosity would have got the better of me, just to, what are we talking about exactly? And then we'll see. Yay, nay, keep your mouth closed, or yes, maybe you should say this. Maybe the wording, changed around a little bit, but maybe this is even something that could be articulated if we, choose the correct words. Just curiosity would have got the better of me if I had a rapport with this person.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Again, I really do apologize about that. I do have a report because he was, my mentee, but he said this in a group of people that were not all black. So I'm very careful not to set him up to say something that he didn't need to say. He said that line, I let it go. I try to be very careful about that. Not that I don't think that was the time to cry. That's why I did it.
Intelligent. That makes perfect 100% counter-racist logic. I would not want to, exactly as you said, I wouldn't want to set up a non-white person publicly, like, especially when you don't know what he's going That makes perfect sense. You don't want to, who knows what he's going to, Brother OJ didn't do it. I've been, never mind. Good job. We'll find out later down the road, maybe. And yes, always discretion is better. If in a work situation, if you are not sure about what to say, it is always best err on the side of caution. Shh. You can always come back if it's something that needs to be said. I got to say that, Brother OJ is innocent. But if you just got to say that, you can come back like next week. It's no big. Black History Month, it'll be even better. You can always come back and say it later if you just got to say it. But it's hard to take it back. If you say, Brother OJ didn't do it, and then you come in on Dr. King holiday and decide, maybe I shouldn't have said it. Too late now. Err on the side of caution. Oh, especially if it's like public. Like, whoo, man. I have no idea about the taser comment, especially since you all do work virtual. She pointed that out again, thankfully, because I would have not been thinking that. Wow. Like, what? To even say something like, you all are so violent, like tasering people and malicious compliance. What? And we're virtual. We're on a screen. Do you really mean like I should get his information and go drive and what? Why not report the person? Don't they have protocol? Why not do that? Like, you should taser him. Wow. Okay. Write that down. I'm so glad we are virtual. Write that down. They ever have any sort of get-together, I will keep a wide berth from you. Yikes. Got the taser ready. They just had a report where they were talking about, I posted it online this week. It was a black female in Mississippi. She was reading the Bible. Not the ISIS papers. Not the anarchist cookbook. She was reading the Bible. And a white officer said that she got sassy with him, and and she's 65 years old. I'm sorry. It wasn't just a young whippersnapper. She was like 65. And he tasered her repeatedly at the park reading the Bible. And they were talking about, wow, they just let these officers go willy-nilly with the taser and you can kill people. She said, woo, write that down. And that's in Gavin DeBecker's Gift of Fear, because he talked about that in my view at least. That's so inappropriate. Like, what? All of that, when you got people in a workplace who are talking about weapons, firearms, bullets, bringing this material to the office. They might even have the thank God you're virtual. Have the taser right there, firearm right there, all of that. Red flag. This is someone who might engage in it, even promoting it. Yikes. And that's another one. If now I don't know if this is a white person, not a white person, but if this had been like a black person, imagine some black person, especially a black dude. Man, you should taser. What? And have a white woman or white person, period? Here you talk, especially you're talking about tasering another coworker? What? Ugh. Anywho, much obliged, caller in Georgia. Maybe we'll find out. Just me being it's kind of nosy, but I mean it is. You know, it would be constructive just to know. Maybe we'll find out down the road. What is it exactly in a private setting? What the black brother? What exactly do you want to say in front of these females? Like, we are dying to know, and then we can give a counter-racist suggestion, yay or nay, and how to phrase all this, if it should be phrased at all. Let's see. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Maybe teach your child cursive, since they don't do it in school anymore for the most part. That can be something you do at home, just so that way they can read cursive if they ever want to check out slave documents or get a job or whatever. Just for spend time. It'd be one way. We could turn the TV off for 30 minutes and we'll do a little cursive writing just for giggles. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up, proceed.
May I be heard?
Victim times 3. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Gus, for taking my call, and greetings to all the COW listeners and callers. I guess I'll reveal some of my terrorism that I have been experiencing for the last 3 months at this new work site. I recently got employed. It was a promotion, so I took it. Working with foster care, and my direct supervisor is a white woman, suspected racist. And over the past 3 months, we have been learning to do our job. You know, keeping in mind that the first time experienced me and another non-white, non-black female. From the beginning of our trainings, I have been picking up a lot of the jargon and picking up a lot of the codes that we use pretty quickly. And the non-white, non-black female has made that very clear that, that's, she is, feeling inadequate, I would say, in comparison. I believe yesterday she actually almost cried speaking to another worker about it. But I say all that to say this. I've been getting more and more work in the last couple of days, and my, coworker who started with me has not been receiving the same amount of volume of work. Again, this is all distributed by the white female supervisor, which in mine, which I have to also tell you, this person wears all black every day. Black, those tight pants, a black turtleneck, and she wears Yeezys. And she told us that she has over 10 pairs of different Yeezys to wear, the Kanye West shoe. Today, she called me over to her desk and wanted to go over some work with me, and I noticed that she was eating chocolates, looked like they were dark chocolates, and drinking coffee. This person is very pale, and she has a big blue vein running across her face on the right side with red hair. So the contrast from outfit to skin is stark. Also, at my work site, I brought up a person before by the name of, I called him Sneakerhead. Ever since that interaction, Gus, where I brought up the alumni for UW, he has been avoiding me. I noticed that he says, hi or good morning very rarely, and he hasn't wanted to have a conversation since that event. Mind you, that was last year during the quote-unquote Christmas party. I do work with a lot of non-white, non-black people, and today one of the non-white, non-black males brought up, I was having a conversation with another white woman about some of the work. He interjected himself and said, Goonies. He said, Goonies never die. That's what he said. Goonies never die. I was confused by what he meant at first, and so was the white woman. He ended up explaining, said, I heard you guys talking about sticking with it. Yeah, Goonies never die. And he pointed at me like, you should know that. You're on the same age. And I'm like, I didn't get it at first. I didn't know what he meant by that until after he explained it. And, he also added that, you're my age, right? He wanted me to confirm my age. I asked him, how do I look? He said, you're around, this age or that age. And I said, okay, we'll go with that. And, because he said, also, I know black don't crack. And, I got this black female friend. She's like 40, but she looks like 25. I stopped him right there and said, aren't you married? Maybe you shouldn't be looking at any female like that. And I went back to my work. They also have us going through some additional training off-site. And they brought up a concept at the training. It's like a boat concept where you have 20% of the people who are, working actively and trying to make sure the job site or the function is carried out properly. 60% that are just, sitting on a boat, kind of cruising by, waiting for the day to be over with or whatever. And then they said they have 20% are actually trying to sink the ship. And I was thinking to myself, and also they had visuals to go along with it. They had the shaded, it was white and brown colors. And they had in the middle, it was like brown. Everyone was brown in the middle. And then they had on the right side, for the 20% that wanted to make things work, it was like white and brown mix. And then on the left side where it had the people who want to sink the ship, all of that color was white. So I thought that visual was pretty interesting. But also the concepts that we're learning there are not very, accurate in my opinion to address what we're actually experiencing. They don't use white supremacy at all. They use bias and cultural competence and all that kind of nonsense. I am currently going on more interviews, looking to promote again. So I may not make it past my 6 months probation, which would probably be good because the terrorism, and I also, as I think about it, I think the reason why I'm getting more work is because my supervisor knows I'm going on interviews and I may be leaving soon. So this could be her way of, tacky way of retaliation or something to that effect. And finally, I will say about the non-white, non-black female coworker that started with me. She noticed that, I'm getting a lot more work and a lot more criticism about my work from the supervisor. And she had something tacky to say on the way out. She said, "I hope you have a long weekend," because we have a long weekend. Oh, yeah, let me bring this other thing up, too. Yesterday, these are non-white, non-black people speaking about a holiday coming up. And they were bringing up caricatures like, quote-unquote, Smokey from Friday. And that same person who said the messaging about having a long weekend or whatever, he said, "Oh, I don't know this much about Smokey Robinson." I'm like, okay, all right. So it's just, the tackiness has already started. But with that, I'll mute my line, and thank you for taking my call, Gus.
I can't get up. Smokey, are you serious? I'm wounded. Woo! I told y'all I worked at the comedy club in Atlanta. Chris Tucker came to the comedy club. Like, I've kicked myself so many times because so many black comedians, I was going to say entertainer, but comedians that's entertainment, I guess. It came through, and I could have had a whole Rolodex of people to talk about white supremacy, racism, but talk to comedians anyway. But Chris Tucker was there. Anyway, Smokey. I said specifically, I would not talk about anything but work on the job. I said I would not talk about hip-hop, rap, none of that. R&B or entertainment, what concerts you went to, none of that. And I said, once you bring that up, hey, it will be, and I'm doing this deliberately, it will be fair game for white people. Hey, you were the one that brought up Ice Cube. We listened to his old records in the office, or talk about his greatest hits, and wasn't it cool seeing him at the World Series and all the rest of it? And we talk about Friday all the time. So once that, you got to be comfortable. You might get nicknamed Smokey for the rest of the time that you work there. If that's 18 years, it'll be 18 years of you being Smokey. If you're a black female, you will be Felicia. Just keep it on the job and asking questions. See? I mean, he even said these are non-white, non-black people. Not that it would be better even if it was black people for me, but whatever. And they're sitting around talking all this nonsense. Why is... You don't even do your job well, if I heard this correctly. Non-white, non-black female hired at the same time and sobbing in the workplace and incompetent and don't get the same volume of work. You don't have time to be talking about Smokey Robinson, Smokey from Friday. You don't even have time for a smoke break. Put the fags down and do some extra work. Anyway, much less she said, got a whole group going in about, Friday and smoking and other. What? Why are we talking about this in the workplace? And much less, and this is what we're talking about. We're talking about a movie that is 30 years old. But we just love seeing you colored for Smokey. And then she said, put that in context. I hope you have a long weekend. Appreciate it. Yeah. Write that one down too. Being slick. Yeah. Gonna watch Friday after next. Even with that, keep your slick comments to yourself, man. Do some homework and catch up, man, so you don't have to be sobbing in the workplace, man. How about that? Lame. Reason we got a day off is that lames like you and all these white chicks can have a job. And you're not even good at your job, sitting here making snide remarks and talking about goofy, dumb, racist movies from last century. That's one I would keep to myself. Like, it's a lot of things I feel like saying in the workplace, but I keep them to myself. Quiet working. He said the white fella to my neck of the woods, University of Washington, go dogs. That's where they killed Shawn Yim at, I told you. He said they had talked about all the famous alumni from the university. Gus is not in that number. Should be, though, right? Honorary, right? He talked about all the alumni, and he said, isn't the greatest of them all Ted Bundy? Whoa, Negro. You ain't supposed to know about that. Nobody even knows that, which I said is a lie. Those white chicks for true crime, they know Ted Bundy, law school, University of Washington. They know. I said I even do a study. I said I should go out to the law school or go sit on the campus and just ask them, do they know Ted Bundy? I bet white people know. Anyway, he said they brought that up, and he said, wow, you smart nigger, you know, people don't even know that, blah, blah, blah. And then now he's, avoid that nigger, he's smart, I got to keep an eye on that boy, which I have found to be the case, because white people, they expect us to be so stupid and ignorant. What are you, Friday, Smokey, like that's, you don't talk about nothing but Smokey and the playoffs. Oh, Mar Jackson, you ain't gonna do it? Woo! Who gonna win the Super Bowl? That's all niggers talk about. That's what they expect. So anything that deviates, like, whoa, you're not at the university where you're not even supposed to spell University of Washington, much like you know people that graduated there and went to the, whoa, what kind of nigger is they got out here? We don't got niggers like you out in Seattle, except for that Gus. Got to keep an eye on you. No, I don't want to talk about nothing. Good day. he said he didn't want to talk anymore. Got to watch my say around you. Which Fuller has said. They note we get a nigger using their brain computer a little bit coded. They become very tight-lipped. Got to be careful. Keep an eye on that boy. The black female supervisor, he said, that wears all black and the turtlenecks. I said, dang, is she doing the Steve Jobs? Which is very popular. The Apple CEO, or late Apple CEO, suspected race soldier, Steve Jobs, because Elizabeth Holmes, convict race soldier suspect Elizabeth Holmes, stole all those folks' money down in California. She was doing the same thing. Wear the black turtlenecks. She didn't have the red hair, but she had the black turtlenecks that she would wear, and all black outfit, everything. She was emulating Steve Jobs. That is very popular. I'm going to do my Silicon Valley power white person look going every day. He said the contrast. And then I'm drinking my coffee in my Stanley cup. Probably got a black Stanley mug too. And I got my chocolate dark, my black turtleneck. We had Dr. Welsing. She told us to get John Harvey's book, Men in Black. Women in Black would count too. We had him as a guest on the program in 2009, where Dr. Welsing and he broke all of that down. She, of course, Context of White Supremacy Racism. A white woman in charge, in power. Melanin deficient, but I wear that black turtleneck tough every day. Let's see. All that conversation, wow, where the black fella comes in and get. Now, mind you, when a white person on the job, when they come to say, look here, boy, how old are you? They do have your slave papers. We talked about this before. I think it was in the context of home address and number. Like, they could just walk to HR and say, that black boy that works in cubicle, can I get his folder? He was being mouthy. Let me see his folder. They could just do it that way, because I think all of us, I don't know too many exceptions, unless you got something what they call under the table, You have to, fill out an application, address, date of birth. They probably even got your driver's license, social security number, all that good stuff. Make sure you didn't hop the border, all that. So, that someone asked me, like, it'd be impossible to have a secret organization. I said, yeah, that's probably true. So no secrets on the plantation. White people, Anyway, but all that said, I have no problem and think that is intelligent. You don't have to be answering their question or divulging personal information, your age, or anything else publicly in the office. Make them do that work. Go to HR and get your white friends to give you my slave papers. So he goes, how old are you, boy? How old do you think I am? Great, he answers the question with a question. Love it. He says, how old do you think I am? He says, well, I think you're, blah, blah, blah. He says, let's take that one. Let's take that. Let's see. He says, well, I got my nigger friend, black female friend, and she's in her 40s, but she looks like she's in her 20s. Black don't crack. All of that. See there? It doesn't get any better than tacky. We're going to get to the end of that. Black don't crack. And white people turn around and say, oh, I'm ignorant. I don't know nothing about no racism. I just watch Friday every once in a while. For all of that tackiness, and he still got to get back in the question lane with some sass. Aren't you married? Cowbell. That's going to be another one. This sassy Nick, what did this boy? You got to watch that boy. I'm over telling him about my black. You going to tell me, aren't you married? What? You got to watch that boy. Now you're going to have two white men in the office who do not speak to you, which, if that is the plan, brilliant. Brilliant. And how did he do it? He stayed in the question lane. Didn't Ted Bundy attend the University of Washington? Crossed Ned off the list. Don't have to talk to him anymore. Jonathan comes over with all that tackiness. Black don't crack. I got my black. Aren't you married? Cross Ned off the list and just keep asking questions. Lethal. And what I did lots of times, just asking one question. Solve all of the problems, make everything bad disappear, sometimes even the white people. One question. Brilliant. And all that tackiness. It does. That's why I say, we just stay on the job. Let's just stay on the job. Like even the stuff, hey, look here, black brother. How old are you? We already, we are not going anywhere constructive. I mean, really. Whatever the answer is, where is this going? Am I going to get a raise, a promotion? Where is this going? Black don't crack. Okay, never mind. Let's get back to quiet working. Doesn't get any better than tacky. Never, 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 never. Friday, black don't crack. Let's see. Number again, much obliged. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up, you have commentary to share, proceed.
Can I be heard?
Bay Area Mom, yes ma'am.
Greetings to you all. Thank you for taking my call. So, I don't have to go to work on Monday. We work 5 days this week. Oh, Lord. So, there's a nice black lady, young lady to me, that
she's a case manager, and I work with two of her children. I guess the one that's in the room, he's supposed to be in her class, but we don't go in there. His home general ed room is in a different class, and I push him into that class. So around phonics time, that's one of his goals. We changed his goals during the professional development week. It was at like 6, because the kids didn't go to school the Monday before last, but we had to go. So during that time, I kind of changed his program a bit. The other little young man, too, that I have, he's first grade. He's nonverbal. He might repeat stuff, but, what is that, a co-ec? So he's nonverbal, though, but he's very strong. He likes to fight and throw and stuff. So I changed his program, too. Well, I didn't, but I run his program, and it works. He's repeating a lot of the stuff that I teach him. He's even writing some of the stuff that I'm working on him with for the past 2 weeks, which is great for me. He's minimizing his behavior. This is the one that's a co-ed. So the second grader that's in his room, he's the one that everyone except for the occupational therapist feels that he would do better in a different school, because the school that he's at, they can't meet his educational needs. I work closely with this young lady and the behavioralist. She's black as well. Everyone in control, real control, is white. There's a little OT. Well, she's not little. She might be in her 30s, early 30s. She's the OT, and then her supervisor totally supports her. So she's the one that wants the little second grader to stay at the school. As I stated before, I have no problem if he stays or doesn't stay. I just want his needs met. I'm the only one, as I said, that can do the ABA with him at the school. And that's how I work with him, ABA style. We spend a lot of time. He does like to go outside. Now we're into dogs, so he's totally into dogs now. Everything. I love dogs, so everything we're working around dogs. So if he wants to go outside, okay, let's do this real quick, and then we can run out there. Or let's do this, and then we can wait on the dog. Or let's do this, and then we can go do what you want to do. So usually those are his academics. I don't have his reading or math, but if he doesn't do any of his reading and math, just let me know. Don't push him, and I'll do it with him when I have him. I minimize some of my time with him because I want to work with the echoic first grade. So something happened this week with the echoic first grade. Now there's tension behind this young man, the second grader. So there's already tension because there was only 2 people that didn't want him to leave the school versus everyone else that figured he would fare better. So all the white people above everyone else in the behavior department, they're coming to, remember last week they were there. So I did see a few of them this week, but I'm always on the go. I'm always in motion. I'm too busy to pay attention, but they see me. Say, hey, you can see you. I'm sure you see you. So as I'm concluding, because we're really into dogs in second grade, so I have him doing a lot of stuff in my 1 hour that I have him, and I still try to make time to take him outside because apparently nobody else wants to go outside with him.
So, but the DCBA, the behavioralist, she'll make you, okay, well, you want to do this, let's do a schedule. Okay, first do this, then we go outside. So then the people, you have to take them outside. So the first grader, because I'm leaving because I go from one, so say, for instance, I have this young man, I get him from his mom at 8:30. I have him until 9:30. So everything that I need to do, all his morning routine, and his preferred choice is all within that realm, and eating breakfast. So I have an hour to knock all that out. And then if I don't see him again until maybe 11:40. So that's a long time for him. And so I can get the other lady that relieves me to do stuff with them, like do arts and crafts, do some puppets. Today they made snow. So I made her encourage what you need me to do. And the day before that, they made some dog lollipops, or maybe use a lollipop as a structure, and then you make a dog. I made out some paper and, I don't know, maybe the lollipop seeps through the belly button or something. I don't know. However it was real cute. And then before that, he made this other dog thing. And then they go, take the dog, and now let's go take him for a walk. So they take these little art projects and go for a walk. So, and what you need, suckers, okay, I'll get the suckers. So whatever we got to do to make it flow. It's the girl that likes to date the guy that she's like, let's go. No, she'll barricade him in the room. I've noticed, I came and looked one day, and I looked through the glass, and she had him barricaded in the room. So I don't like to tell on people, so I just keep it moving. So I was a little delayed with the second grader, but I got to get to the first grader. So there's a whole classroom. The first grader is in, all adults. So he's having a behavior. There's 2 people there to take him to go to occupational therapy. And in the midst of that, he's going to have speech. So the occupational therapist and the speech lady. The speech lady is white, the occupational therapist is black. Anytime something go wrong, it's because the black occupational therapist is new. She doesn't know, she doesn't know. So now we're going to pick on the case manager who runs this particular classroom. So the case manager didn't jump up and help transition this little boy, so he was very angry and did not want to leave because he was playing with, he won his preferred choice, and he was doing that. I personally would have either waited for him to have that choice until after speech or transition him before speech started, because I know speech is at 9:30 every doggone day that he has speech. So I would have either shut that down at 9:20 or had him do it after speech. So that didn't happen. He had a whole meltdown, and he's, flipping up the tables. He's a good 95 pounds, so he's real solid, and he's kicking and spitting, and so he's rough. So I came in, and he didn't want to do anything, clean up or whatever, so they got him to go to, I did a little dance routine to make him clean up from where he was to go into the speech room and do, I guess, speech and occupational therapy was at the same time. So now I go in there because if he doesn't want to transition from class to speech, he's going to have a hard time transitioning from speech back to class, because he does have a moment to where he has fun time. So he doesn't like to stop. So when it was cleanup time, before cleanup time, the person over the speech, the speech lady, the white lady that does the speech, was complaining about the teacher, saying she must not want to work here anymore because she's just not herself this year. She's just not doing what she needs to do this year. She should have stopped that. She should have did this. She should have did this. And there's all these adults in there. She didn't do anything. So we already know the girl that, speaking of the girl that I used to date, the co-workers, we already know what she doesn't do. But so all the pressure ended up going on her. And so maybe she doesn't need to work here. Maybe she doesn't need to work here. I should just say something to her. So what I said was, if you say something to her, pull her to the side and don't do it in front of everybody. And all you have to do is just see how she's feeling versus holding her responsible for this incident. She said, yeah, I'm not going to do it in front of her. Which is, that's all I have. And so when it's time to clean up, I just start, she played this song, so I'm just going to start dancing and helping you clean up. Clean up. I don't know what the song is, but we're just going to come on. But I don't need him having behaviors, because when he does have behavior, he loses his train time. So he gets 15 minutes of train time if he does 15 minutes of safe hands, safe feet, calm body. But if he doesn't, he loses 3 minutes. So with each incident is 3 minutes, so he may have no minutes. So I'm helping clean up, and then she's back there dancing or whatever. So I'm just doing the cleanup, and so the little boy looking like, what the hell are you doing? And he's looking, and I'm checking stuff, putting it in the bucket, and or whatever the song was. So, but it's a cleanup song. So now he's looking confused, and now he just started putting stuff in the bucket, cleaning up. So he started cleaning up. So every time, so now what I do is right before speech is over, I go in to help transition him out, so you're not blaming the teacher for his behavior. So, but I asked the teacher as well. I said, so I just transitioned him in. Can I leave like 3 minutes before his session is over so I can go help clean up so it transitions well? And she's like, yeah, please go. So that's what I do now when it's time to clean up for them. For with me, just cleaning up, I don't need a song. But I just start, cleaning up. No, we're going to clean up. But with them, they need something, so let's do it so it's done. And it works. He's confused at each time. So this is the second time, because we only have it 3 days a week. But when I did it yesterday, he like, y'all serious, huh? So I'm just putting the stuff, and that's what I do, and it helps. But I just didn't like putting that black lady on the spot like that. I didn't like that because, I don't know, I just think if she were white, they wouldn't have held her responsible like that, and they wouldn't be picking at her because she's already was up for a review a few months ago about the little boy in the room because she figured he needs to go to a different school that would service him versus having him there for the next 2 years just lingering around the school. So what I do is, while I'm there, I work with the BCBA so we can create a program that he gets academics in, and he has minimal behaviors. And with the first grader as well, I totally work with this first grader to where we can get academics in and work on his behavior as well. And it works because what I do with the third, the one that's echoic, he's repeating what I'm saying, he's remembering what I'm saying, and he's able to match to what I'm saying and say what it is that he's matching. So thank you for taking my call. I will mute my line.
Much obliged, Bay Area mom. Bravo for the suggestion. I'm always a big fan of not trying to, same kind of logic that we had with our caller in Georgia when she was talking about the black male that he said publicly, you know, sometimes I feel like I'm not able to say what I want to say. And I thought that was great to not publicly out him, as she explained, because, you know, who knows what he's going to say, and have all that happen in front of everyone. Same logic. Man, that can be very tempting, especially if the person that we're going to criticize is classified as black. Like, oh man, let's go and get Lakeisha, let's go and get Leroy out in public, and you're not even doing your job, and you just shiftless and lame, and you don't even come in on time and all that. And I mean, dang, even if that is true, private We don't need an audience and what have you. And even with some concern, like privately, are you okay? How are things going? Get to the root of things, and then, can address things slowly, courteously, and professionally, privately. Always the best way. I thought that was important context too, what Bay Area Mom said, that, if this was a white instructor, would we be doing this? All this picking and harassing this black female, would we be doing all this if she was white? Especially if it's going to be some sort of like public rebuke of your work. And especially given, all she has shared, Bay Area Mom, about the white people that work there and, throwing children in the office and you can't even remember how old the child is and all the rest of it. Like, really? You going to come and chastise some of these white people for their performance publicly? Come on. And she pointed out the power dynamic in terms of who is making decisions. Where are these children going to be placed at? What's their treatment look like? All that. White women. Same power dynamic that it's been for a long time. That's another one, it bears repeating. So is this the best we can do? 2025. Nigh on 2040. Hand our children over to white women to be educated and abused. Best we can do? On a widespread basis, this the best we can do? Someone said you don't have to have the children, which I think is a great option, should be considered if the best we can do is I'm going to hand Leroy Jr. over to these white women for 12 years, and you all do the best you can with him. VGQ. And further evidence to be in this environment where white women are in charge. How is it that she, talking about Bay Area Mom, how is she the only one who is ABA trained to deal with these children who special needs and all of that? How is that? Did she have to go to like Alaska? Did Elon Musk put her in one of them private jets and take her to another solar system, another galaxy to get this training? I don't remember that. Like, she'd been with us the whole time, so she couldn't have went that far. Might have even been something in California. Nobody else can be. We can't spare 2 weeks. They just had, vacations and all that for winter break. Nobody else. This training isn't on Zoom. You can't do nothing virtual. Nobody else can get this training that would benefit these children, many of them non-white. That's what I mean about this is the best we can do. 2025, you will have a non-white child. Alrighty. And kudos, she uses her brain computer, see if I can motivate these children. Child's into dogs now. Hey, we'll tie their educational plan around their love of the dogs. You can do all kinds of things and all different, fields of academics. Tie that to the dogs and then we'll go outside. And she said that before. These are young children, like these are not, 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds, at least from my recollection. Like a lot of the teachers, they did not go out and play with. They're kind of big at that age. Like, you got it. Y'all can go and do. You're not going to hurt me. You got it. But when they're like 11, 10, 12, most of them are small enough still at that point. Like, you could go outside and play, like they're doing playground type stuff still at that age. If you can get them away from the video games, which, but if you can get them outside, like, hey, when now, that also, depending on where you are, if you're in California, maybe we stay inside this month. Beyond all that, and they didn't have that an excuse because before the wildfires, she said the same thing. I'm the only one, and I'm not, telling tales and other, but I mean, Bay Area Mom, she's not a teen, right? How is it that I'm the only one who has the energy and the vitality to be out here? Let's go, it's recess, we go play and woo, we go do some of these games. I'm the only one. You got teachers that are younger than I am. You should have more energy than I do. Going outside? I'm not going. Like, what in the world? Shit, like, I'm not vested at all. I don't have the latest training. I don't have to get up and go. I don't even have the spunk to get up and go do recess. Nah. What in the world? Lazy, man. If anything, the white people do not care about children might apply as well. Let's see. And even using the being outside to inspire them. She talked about before being about the birds, and even way back when it was about the environment. You know, let's do the recycling and cleaning up, and we went outside, so we'll stay and clean up. You can use that as a part of the academic plan. They don't even want to do that. We're in California. Why not go out, other than the wildfires? Why not go outside? We could explore and see this. It's sunny and some of that. Nah. We don't want to do that. Stay in the classroom. Nah. Lame through and through. Much obliged, Bay Area mom. And again, black self-respect, I would say, let's resist, criticize, judge publicly other non-white people. If it's got to be some sort of critique, privately take that person aside. Everybody has an ego, right? Jeez. Much obliged. Let's see. Other folks, they have commentary. Don't wait till the last minute. Let's see. Victim in Florida should be with us as well. Any other folks, if you have commentary, *61. Do not wait until the final moments. Let's see. Caller in Florida should be with us as well.
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners and callers. Gus, I'd like to share some updates from the courthouse. I've been taking the module tests or quizzes for the passport recertification, and the examples they show for, I guess, applicants that come up to the counter, I'm noticing that the photos of the customers, most of them are non-white people, and they have a portion that's toward the end of the training that's called unconscious bias, and I think I mentioned this last year. So I don't know if they may have changed up some of the questions or the reading material, but it may be connected where a lot of the passport applicants are non-white, and they've been talking about terms like gender neutrality. I think that's the term. And that's also connecting to some of the customers. And I know I've spoken on this before about the pronouns. You have people who come in and they mostly are white people, where they'll have a name like John going to Juniper, okay? And the person will be, I suspect, born a biological male. And, I ask, for the receipt, can I get your first and last name? Say, oh, sure, it's Juniper or something, And it'll be more of a, I guess, feminine, what they would call feminine type name. But the previous name, it'll say old name and new name. So the old name was John. New name is Juniper. So it'll be many customers like that where they'll get 5 copies. They're trying to change their name.
They may even be trying to do something like a marriage, and terms like spouses for life that I mentioned. They've put new or modified terms in the where they do the ceremonies, and I just been paying attention to that as well, because another customer today came in with a service dog and had the service dog sit next to them to take a passport photo, and the person, I think, was born a female, white person. Okay, and even the voice will sound different, I guess. You know, the person had blue hair and like a facial mustache, facial hair, but I didn't want to say something. Something tells me not to really just say ma'am or sir or whatever. I just say okay, sure, or correct. Take the picture, and they'll be on their way. And it's more common, and sometimes kind of, I guess I'll say, complex in a way with the confusion. So that's kind of been working for me, but they haven't really brought that up except for this passport training. So yeah, just to go back to a lot of the examples are black people really on the photos, or what they would call Asian people. And I find it very interesting on how it's going so far. But I have maybe like two other reports. The white woman, I call it the pale predator, and she got back on from the white woman that is known as the warden, right? So this person has been there 40 years, and she's always, I'm going to say always, trying to hunt down, I guess I'll say hunt, sexually to a black male in some way. And she even said one black guy was her son. Are you trying to signal for me, or are you talking about my son? I say, no. I say, don't ever say that about him. So, oh, you're just so funny, but I was being serious. So he was needed at the front counter. So I'm like, no, don't do that to him. Don't say that to him. Just flat out statement. And he was requested at the front counter. And there was another instance where there's a maintenance guy, a black guy, and he pulled open a chair for a black female, okay? And the white chick, the pale predator chick, she looked at him in disgust, like she was very angry, okay? Like, why are you letting open the chair open for her? I just saw it as racism immediately, and I wrote it down that way. And so the guy started laughing, and he said, I'll wipe your chair down or something like that. It was just it was horrendous. And she was like, oh, okay, well, at least he washes the dishes for me. He washes my dishes or something like that. Something I consider to be an act of racism. So the guy walks off, and the black female was like, oh, I feel bad for him, because she just describing this person is just, like I guess, simile, like a slave, system of white supremacy. And she doesn't talk about the white dude like that. White dude the other day was like, I know you're not waiting for me to wash your dishes. And she was like, oh, no, I'm not waiting for you, but I know he'll, referencing the black dude again, he'll wash my dishes because he's my work husband, okay? That's how she described him. I wanted to share that. And going back to the other instance where the black female said she felt sad for him and said, like, oh, I've seen this guy around. He's pretty nice and everything. And the white woman comes behind and says, oh, yeah, it's good to have people like that on the job. And, they're nice and they're kind. They stay in a good mood and they know how to hide it, even if they're not in a good mood one day. And she said, she cut herself off and said he's entertaining. Like, she didn't say entertaining all the way, but she said entertain, like the first two syllables of entertain. So definitely that racism going on there. And just one last thing I'd like to share is I think this was connected to the Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday or birthday this part of the year, where the same white clique chick that used to work in the department where I'm in, she walks through and says good morning to the area where we work in, which is, I call it the segregated section. But she said research, because this is where all the archives and everything microfiche. And she only walks up to the white woman, and she mentions about a tree, right? A tree being put on the assigned desk of the white chick. So the white woman sitting down at the desk says, oh, fine, I'll take it. So they both get up and they go to the civil side, across the hallway, and they bring, like maybe an hour or so later, I see this white woman with a white tree. Now, they specify, the first white chick said it was a white tree, and I wanted to add that emphasis. She said it was a white tree. Okay, it looked like a Christmas tree. Now, the gnomes have the pointed hat, or it's slanted over to the side. Like I sent you some images on that, Gus. So I'm thinking it's connected to that, some kind of racist white clique gang clan scheme they got with the white chicks. And it's a white triangular shape. That's what I visualize. It's like a white Christmas tree. So they put these red hearts on there. This white chick that's at the seat, the only white person in the office, she puts she puts red and pink hearts on there, I guess, for so-called Valentine's, and tries to get the black female to put this white tree on the desk she's assigned. And she's like, no, I don't want that mess. I don't want this mess on where I sit at. So she's been showing some black respect when it comes to the decoration. And the white chick is like, oh, why, what's going on? Why you don't want the tree? Why you don't want the tree? So she's showing her defiance by still setting the white tree on a table that's in the center of the office. She didn't even put it where she sits at. So she was trying to get the black person to so-called decorate this white tree, or put the white tree where she's seated at. So I think that was a racist act, racist symbolism there from the white women gang where I work at. And other than that, that's all I have to share. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Got the white tree in the office. They don't even have white trees. They do have albino trees. Call them vulture trees, because they leech and steal from all the melanated trees in the area. But they don't even have. That's not even the anybody. If you got white trees in your yard, neighborhood, city, park that's closest to where you live, let us know. Take a picture. We don't have white trees around here. That is not the norm in the universe. But they got a white tree that nobody even wants. Come on. Oh, and they do have that. They do have the white Christmas trees. I guess maybe that it could see. I never would have even thought that the gnomes were racist. But he said the customers said that they were racist. And then by the response of the white employees, sounds like they were right. They got all defiant about it and weaponized them against the black employees. And they do have the pointy hats, so, maybe, shame on me for, but the white Christmas tree, I had seen that. They don't even like to get the green, which is the norm, melanated green Christmas tree. All that green is important. That's how the photosynthesis happens. When you don't have that green color, you can't do photosynthesis. Then you have to be a vulture and steal from the non-white trees, which is what the white trees do in nature, the albino ones. But they put the albino tree up there. I don't know if it's albino or not, but they put the white tree up there with the red hearts on it for Valentine's Day, and they get the more chocolate. We already talked about it. They get more chocolate. Anywho, that's why I said no decorating. Not even, in fact, nothing on my desk except things I need to complete my work tasks. Pens, computer, stapler, things I need to complete my work tasks. Not albino tree with red, what? Gnomes, none of the above. Like, come on. Let's see. All of the training about the passport, now that is fascinating. He said it's more non-white people coming in for, photos and all that. So they got a section about bias and all that. Even with that, see, they got racial classifications. See, they got to have a whole section about that. And, what do you do with that? And the boxes. Oh, fascinating. They go through the passport training, I guess, for all the other new folks that are coming in and such. And he talked about I'm keeping confused. Gender confusion, contempt for gender. There we go. Component of it. And he said at least his observation. That's why I said it's so many layers to it. He said his observation is mostly white people. They started off Ned. Now they're changing. It's going to be Nirvana. What? And he got, yes. Not yes, sir. Not yes, ma'am. Yes. Correct. Thank you. Have a good gender. I think he said gender neutral or gender neutrality. Being, very precise with your word choice. Boy, that's something you got to, because he said they might even be presenting one way, and then they'll have the name Ned and all this, and then you slip and say sir, and then what did you say? Boy, you might have to press the panic button. Like, yikes, whoa, wait a minute, I got confused. Woo, man, I got to be very slow. Yes. They got purple hair. That ain't got nothing to do with it. Don't even get confused about that. Just, yes. Correct. Right. Thank you very much. Whew, got through that one. All right. Whew. Get on to the next person. Like, man, and it might even get to a point where they say, don't say sir to anybody. Don't say ma'am to anybody. That is not, you get in trouble for saying that. It might come to that, get 10 years or so down the road. Whatever, fine, no problem. But, wow, and even noting, he said it seemed like it's mostly white people with this, the gender confusion. Now, they do pull a lot of black people in that too, contempt for gender, but, whew, and they even might be related, why you're seeing all of this with people that are classified as white, because he said more and more of the people that are coming for a passport are not classified as white. White genetic annihilation. Could be. Let's see. Pardon. He said the pale predator calling another black person that works there, son. Is he talking to me or my son? That is even like how appalling it is. Now, you imagine any black person on your job, male or female, and they got a white person who works there, not in a different part of the building or whatever. And you're talking to them, and they say, oh, are you talking about me or my son, or me or my daughter? And they're talking about a white person. They said this out loud in public where everybody can hear this. Man, Al Sharpton making this statement about a white man or a white woman. Just get it in your brain computer. Benjamin Crump making this comment about his white secretary or something. The outrage. Like, what? Much less if you're just talking about, like, the janitor or somebody, or him. Call himself if he had, made a statement like that. What? Incidentally, I would emphatically discourage any sort of language like this is my office wife, office husband. Man, especially if you're a black male and you're talking about my office wife and it's Judy the white woman, like, all of that is asking for trouble. Even if you're single, so-called, all of that is asking for trouble. And again, we should be behaving in a professional and business-like manner. This is not a family. Did you take nuptials with this person? Did you all get a honeymoon? Like, what? What are you even talking about? Did they at least help you get a promotion? Your office, they wash your dishes? Like, come on. Like, it doesn't get any better than tacky. In fact, when he said that whole exchange, we got to this person talking about they got my office husband, and it's some Negro boy slave, and she said, well, he'll do my dishes and all. It reminded me, it's happened repeatedly. I think he said he was at the post office and the white woman was there, and they don't even work together. Like, he's a stranger, and she just looked like, oh, nigger boy, you'll get my, I can't, nigger boy, look here, get, like, come on. Where that sort of thing happens repeatedly, where it'll be a white person then, well, I don't trouble the white man. Hey, nigger boy, that's your job. Get, chop, come on. That sort of thing where you're just expected to fetch and, run, do tasks, wash dishes and move furniture around, or just anything. I'm an old slave black person. That's what I do. Come on. It's 2025, man. Like, none of that. And I said none of that. I started with office husband or office wife or however it's for, like, oh, that is one, that is dangerous. You're asking for trouble. You could end up being Bill Cosby. Two, if that's what it consists of, like, I get to do your dishes in the work, like, come on. That is super tacky. Let's be professional. That's what I want to be. Not office husband, professional. Colleague. Professional. And you see the tackiness. See, it doesn't get any better than tacky. They start talking about the colors and say, oh, Leroy, I just like Leroy. He's just so great. He's so pleasant and works hard. It's always good to have people like that around. He's so entertained. The colored folks, they just, man, and she caught it. She said, they're so entertained. What's wrong? What would be the problem with having a black person being? She knows. Maybe I shouldn't be bragging about we got colored people that are on the entertainment committee. So the black fella said some things that I want to say, but need to keep to myself. She recognized it a little late, like, yes, I will. Leroy is great. It's great to have people like Leroy around. I'm going to be quiet now. Thank you. Have a great day. I said that we had Bobby Seale. He came here to Seattle. It might have been the same year that the cows came into existence. Oh, no. They had just kicked us off the air. And he came here to Seattle Central Community College to speak. He did his talk, said what he said, victim of white supremacy. Finished. We walked outside. It was springtime, so it was just warming up. The sun was out. Walked out. White woman came outside. And I knew her from before the talk. She says, oh, Gus T, right on. Bobby Seale was great. She said he was so entertaining and funny. And I said, like, wow, that will be at least one goal. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. And white people, regardless of what they say about me, and even non-white people, they will not say Gus T is entertaining and funny. They won't even have to get halfway through it and be like, that Gus T was entertaining. Nah, not even. And for the most part, I have been super successful on that front. People do not say Gus T is entertaining or funny. Right on. I still haven't. The goal before that was replace white supremacy with justice. That F. We will try again tomorrow. Much obliged for folks tuning in, hopefully worthy of your Friday evening, hopefully in some small way helping us get a little bit closer to replacing white supremacy with justice. If for anything, at the end there, that is important. White people are not ignorant about racism. Wouldn't have been a reason for that white woman to stall. She could have just been proud, like, I was complimenting you niggers. What do you mean being racist? This ain't got nothing to do with no gnomes and albino trees. I was saying that Leroy is entertaining and he's great to have around. What's wrong with that? Like, what's wrong with that? She knows what's wrong with that. Smiling, entertaining black people on the plantation. She knows what's wrong with that. That's why she clip. Got to be careful with your words. Sobriety would be bad. I don't know if that counts for the king. Did they like pour out a teaspoon of tequila for Dr. King? That seems so inappropriate, but I don't know. Sobriety would be best. I guess if you have the weekend off and they got all the playoff football games, so they might have parties and, sobriety would be best. Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people, victims of white supremacy. We ask that you help us remain patient with ourselves. Remind us to demonstrate the highest levels of black self-respect at all times, in all places, each and every time we are in contact with another black person. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. No name-calling black people. No gossiping. No throwaway offspring. Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. Problem. You're a victim. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.